Gawia. We aspire to learn from Indigenous traditional knowledge and experience in undoing the injustices of the past. As a reminder, according to the board rules and procedures, audience members shall not whistle, clap, stomp feet, or anything that disrupts the proceedings. Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Thank you, Chairwoman Vargas. Supervisor Anderson? Here. Supervisor Desmond? Here. Vice Chair Lawson-Remer? Here. Chairwoman Vargas?
Here. All right, we'll now have our invocation and pledge process. So we will now have Reverend Dan Koshel deliver the invocation, and following the invocation, we're going to have Gold World Scout Teresa Aguilar deliver the Pledge of Allegiance. So please stand for the pledge. For the invocation and then the pledge.
I invite you to please join me in prayer. Loving God, thank you for the abundant freedoms we celebrate as Californians. What a joy to call beautiful San Diego County home. Today I pray for your blessings as we celebrate our many progresses and strength as we acknowledge the work that still needs to be done to meet the needs of those who live here. I pray that you'd give wisdom and discernment to this Board of Supervisors as they take the opportunity to lead and set an example on how to foster a sense of dignity, justice, and to protect the most marginalized among us, regardless of who they are or who they love. Oh God, in today's world, we need civility more than ever. Help us to create opportunities for dialogue, understanding, and mutual respect, even in the face of disagreement. And may we all be inspired to act with courage, empathy, and respect as we strive to bring about a more inclusive, equitable, and loving world. I pray this in your many names. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. We're now going to welcome our Gold Award Girl Scout, Ms. Aguilar, to do the pledge. Welcome, welcome.
Good morning. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We're going to proceed with our proclamations, and the first proclamation is I am going to go ahead and honor Nick Macchione and he's going to be accepting the first proclamation. Before I go down there, I know that some of my colleagues also want to make remarks. So if everybody's good, what we'll do is I'll go ahead and make the remarks for the proclamation, and then I'll ask each one of you to be able to say a couple of words, and then I think we should all go down there and take a picture with you so that you can have a good picture that you can put in your other office. Just kidding. You deserve the proclamation too. Absolutely. All right. So good morning. I am so thrilled to be able to give this proclamation to Nick today. I do it with a heartfelt gratitude, and I stand here before you to recognize someone who is a trailblazer of healthcare and that has been instrumental in ensuring that our communities are healthy, not only in the county, but throughout the region and in the country. Nick Macchione has faithfully and diligently served the county of San Diego and its 3.3 million people for 26 years. He has led with purpose and passion and always with heart, establishing partnerships for performance of the public good. Nick began his career at the county in 1997 as a chief of the Office of AIDS Coordination, and soon he became a deputy director, regional general manager of the Health and Human Services Agency before he promoted to agency director in 2008. He leads over 8,000 employees across multiple departments that day to day make the lives of San Diegans better. As I said, Nick is someone who has led with heart and compassion while always thinking strategically of how to make transformational change. He is the visionary behind Live Well San Diego, a nationally recognized and replicated large-scale population health strategy with nearly 550 community partners that are focused on improving life expectancy and well-being. Nick's commitment to meaningful partnership is unmatched, as evidenced by his role in creating groundbreaking cross-sector collaborations and his mentorship of countless staff throughout the years. I met Nick way before I became a supervisor, and it was mostly because I was fighting with him about how we made sure, right, that our communities were, but it was really by fighting, I was advocating. And together, we were able to do great things. And before I became supervisor, while I was still, we were hit by the pandemic. And I remember having conversations, asking Nick to come to the community during this really, really challenging times that nobody really knew what was coming before us. And what I loved about what he did and his leadership role was ensuring that we thought outside the box, that we were really always thinking about community first, and especially our underserved populations, but not just because he cared about them, but because he always used science to ensure that we prioritize our policy as we were moving forward so that we can create a precedent to do great work to ensure that our communities were safe and healthy. And it was that partnership that allowed us to save so many lives, particularly in the Latino community. I will always, always, always be grateful for you for that, so thank you. You can give him a round of applause for that one, but. I can say so many more things, but what I want to do, I want to make sure that my colleagues have an opportunity to share a couple of comments, but I also want to make sure that we do this because, as you know, these proclamations, I know we come up here and we give them every month, but you need to know that these proclamations, we just don't give them to anyone. We only give them to folks that really have shown outstanding service to the County of San Diego and to our communities. And so be it proclaimed by myself and all the members of the San Diego County Board of Supervisors that as on this 27th day of June, we commend Nick Macchione for his outstanding service, leadership, and commitment to the citizens of San Diego County, and do hereby declare today Nick Macchione Day throughout San Diego County. Here you go.
Wow. Usually not speechless, but I first thank you, Chairman Vargas, and all members of the board. To my esteemed colleagues, to my loving soulmate wife, Lisa, also county employee, to all the remarkable members of the team, our county team, and our agency team, and our community partners. 26 years ago, when my wife and I came from New York, we were told from our fellow friend New Yorkers, go to San Diego and go to La Jolla. You're going to enjoy the weather. And we have a beautiful community. But what we fell in love with was with the people. We fell in love with the people. Because in San Diego, we have something quite special. We have the ability, even with our differences, to come together to improve the lives of ourselves, our families, and our communities, and particularly the communities that need our help the most. And as a person with lived experience, have government help myself and my family, this was just paying it forward, like so many other people do. Incredible, incredible servant leaders that we have here at the County of San Diego. So indeed, it's with deep purpose and passion in partnership for performance of the public good that we prevail, but it's also the positivity of people. And that I will always be grateful to the support I've had from this amazing Board of Supervisors, my boss, the Chief Administrative Officer, Helen Robbins-Meyer, who took a chance in me being hired, my amazing team and colleagues with the general managers, and then all of you who've given me the chance together to dream big and to do things that really make a difference. And all of this would have happened without it been the amazing support of my wife, Lisa. So I want to make sure I share this with her because of all the sacrifices she made with our kids together. I wouldn't have been able to make the impact. So thank you, Lisa. And I cleared this with my boss, but since I'm not here tomorrow, so she won't get upset with me, but I would love to have my colleagues join me in this picture because what I want to remember is this team. What we do in San Diego is really team. So if you could please join me.
All right. You want to comment now? Let's take a picture. Yeah. There's always one more. Right here, look. All right. Wherever you want, you can do here. Why not, since you're here?
Sure. Today, we're honoring an exceptional person who has dedicated an incredible 26 years of his life to service in San Diego County. It is with immense pride and gratitude that we recognize his contributions to our community, especially during his 15-year tenure as the head of the county's Health and Human Services Agency, HHSA. In these years, Nick has been instrumental in moving positive change throughout the county and laying the groundwork for several transformative initiatives that will benefit our community for decades to come. Nick, your retirement for the county marks the beginning of a new phase in your journey, and I have no doubt that you will retire to refire with the same passion and dedication that defined your career thus far. Your wealth of knowledge, experience, and expertise will be harnessed to lead UC San Diego Health towards new horizons, and your passion for healthcare and visionary leadership will inspire and empower others as you embark on your new adventure. One of the hallmarks of your leadership has been your open door policy and your willingness to listen, engage, and collaborate with many staff and community members, including my team in District 3, which has fostered an environment of trust, transparency, and inclusivity. Your approachability and genuine concern for the well-being of others makes you a respected and trusted leader. Many have sought your guidance, knowing that you would lend an attentive ear and provide thoughtful insights. As you transition to your new role, I want to express my deepest gratitude for your exceptional service to the County of San Diego. Your tireless efforts, innovative thinking, and unwavering dedication have left an indelible mark on our community. Your legacy will continue to inspire and guide us in pursuit of excellence in health and human services. I wish you all the best in your success and fulfillment in your new and future endeavors. Thank you.
Nick, I just want to tell you personally how much I appreciate you and appreciate the work you've done for the 2nd District, my constituents. 3 years ago, I got elected, and I knew nothing of this subject matter other than it needed to be better served in my community. And I really appreciate all the time you took to mentor me along and to provide all sorts of great things for my district. When you think about all the products and services that we're now bringing that we weren't before. It's hard looking at you when I want to talk to him, so I apologize. I'm turning my head to somebody. But you know what? You're leaving big shoes to be filled, and if you just do half as well in your new career, we're all going to be better here in San Diego County. Thank you so much for your thoughtfulness and hard work.
Well, Nick, you know, it's been a long time, and we started up in North County many years ago. I think I was the mayor of San Marcos, and you weren't the head of HS at that time.
Because it'd be easier for all.
Oh, okay. There you go. Here, let's hug. Okay. Now I see Dr. Luke shedding some tears in the back there too. But hey, it's been great working with you. It's been, you know, I've many a nights I remember sitting in my car at like 8:30 at night talking with you for 20-30 minutes and just trying to get things done. We worked together in North County on the crisis stabilization units and the psychiatric beds and looking at properties and trying to deal with many of the issues of health and human services, and you've done a great job. And it's good to hear that you're going to be staying in the fabric of the community here in San Diego County and continuing to do good things. So I really appreciate all your hard work and you know, your dedication and, you know, just putting all your passion into your job and with Lisa. But anyway, but we really appreciate all you've done and congratulations. Thank you. All right.
Thank you, Jim. Appreciate you.
Thank you again. Let's give him one more round of applause. I mean, it's been... Thank you so much. The next proclamation we're going to be giving is by myself and Vice Chair Lawson Remer, honoring Pride Month, and accepting the proclamation will be San Diego State University Pride Center. So if I can ask them to join us up here, as well as, let's see, Miramar College's LGBTQ+ Alliance and the San Diego County LGBTQA Employee Resource Group. So if I can have you all join me up here. So today I'm really proud, thank you for being here. Today I'm really proud to join Vice Chair Tara Lawson Remer in recognizing Pride Month throughout San Diego County. Pride Month is a time to celebrate generations of LGBTQ+ people who have fought bravely to live openly and authentically. As a county, we're committed to elevating and showing visibility from LGBTQ+ community and county employees with the hope that communities of all types can come together to make a difference, to create positive change, and to work hand in hand to build a future that we can all be proud of. Sadly, it's not enough that members of our LGBTQ+ community can have a right just to marry and who they love, but they continue to fight for the right to live and fight for the right to actually exist. All of the work that we've committed to doing at the county is important because for far too long, so many have felt that they've been left behind or ignored. We still have a lot of work to do to continue to elevate our trans community, people of color, youth, and other and underserved communities that are LGBTQ+. Here at the county, I just want to remind folks that although we've made some strategic inroads, that had never happened before, there's still a lot of work to be done. And, and I stand here before you knowing that in many school boards and city councils across this county, there has been discussions and opposition to raising the flag and to being able to ensure that there are safe spaces for LGBTQ+ community. And I just want to make sure everyone in this county knows that this county is yours, that we are a county that's inclusive, and a county that will ensure to continue to fight so that regionally anyone has a right to make sure that they have a safe space to be able to work in and to be able to love who they love and to be able to make sure that they have the resources that they need to be able to thrive. And so I am thrilled to be able to do this declaration today in partnership with my colleague and to ensure that the Pride Center of San Diego State University, Miramar College LGBTQ+ Alliance, and our San Diego County LGBTQA Employee Resource Group are recognized because of the work that they've done to be built inclusive and safe spaces in not only their respective campuses, but also here within our county employees. And so they've created an inclusive and equitable space for our community members, our students, et cetera. And so before we proclaim it, I'm going to turn it over to our Vice Chair to say a couple of words.
It's Pride Month. I'm so excited. This is my favorite month, and honestly, July 15th is one of my favorite days that we have here in San Diego. Pride is in full swing across our country, and our biggest Pride event on July 15th is, I think it's one of the largest civic events in our region, and it's one of the largest Pride events in the United States. I know last year there were about 300,000 people there getting loud and proud to celebrate San Diego Pride. Pride is an opportunity to celebrate diversity and love in our community, while also reflecting on the ongoing struggle, adversity, and fight for equity in our LGBTQ community. I want to underscore this. The freedoms the LGBTQ community enjoy today were not given. They were fought for, and we are still fighting for those freedoms. And every time we win a victory or beat back defeat, it's because of people who are being brave and unafraid to live their lives openly and authentically, even in the face of tremendous discrimination and hardship. And these hardships continue. This year alone, nearly 525 bills have been introduced across the United States that diminish and attack LGBTQ rights and people. Dozens of bills have been enacted in state houses throughout our country. So let me be clear. Pride is not about a parade, and it is not about a party, although it is both a party and a parade. It's about speaking out for equality and pushing back against laws that trample our constitutionally protected rights. And If anyone forgot that, the hate, bigotry, and discrimination that we are seeing this year is a reminder of how important our activism is. But here in San Diego County, we are so fortunate to have dozens of incredible organizations and individuals that work every single day to push back against hate and uplift the voices of our LGBTQ community. Among the many, many groups and people that deserve our recognition and appreciation is the LGBTQ Alliance for Miramar College. Founded by Professor Laura Gonzalez, the Miramar College LGBTQ Alliance is a coalition of educators, employees, students, and administrators striving to create a welcoming, inclusive, and safe environment for all members of the LGBTQ community, both on their campus and in our community. Much of their work happens at Club Spectrum, a place where LGBTQ individuals and allies can come together and socialize. It's open to all San Diego Community College District students, acting as a safe space for everyone looking to find a community of understanding and supportive peers. Through all their ongoing efforts to create a more welcoming academic environment on campus, the Alliance is also helping to foster a more welcoming and tolerant society as a whole. So I'm proud to recognize those efforts and their leadership here today. I'd now like to turn the podium back over to our chairwoman to proclaim the day and the proclamation. Okay.
So therefore be it proclaimed by myself and my colleagues that we commend the Pride Center and San Diego State University Miramar College's LGBTQ+ Alliance and the county's LGBTQ&A Employee Resource Group for their outstanding service, leadership, and their commitment to our LGBTQ+ community and the work to a more inclusive San Diego region.
We hereby declare and recognize June as LGBTQ+ Pride Month throughout San Diego County. Yay.
I wrote down my words. Thank you so much, Chairwoman Vargas and Supervisor Lawson-Remer and the Board of Supervisors for this honor. I'm Laura Gonzalez, and I'd like to introduce my colleagues.
Hi, Annalisa Monzo. Nisa Julian.
John Kim.
And we are representatives from Miramar College LGBTQ+ Alliance, our employee resource group, and also our LEAD office, which stands for Leading for Equity, Anti-Racism, and Diversity. I'm a professor of anthropology and an ally to this community, as well as the AB 620 point person on my campus, which among other things means that students or campus employees may be referred to me with for help with issues related to LGBTQ+ identity and their campus experience. I'm representing many, many people who contribute to our welcoming campus. It's a much larger effort, and it's important to me to recognize them as well. Members of the LGBTQ+ Alliance are involved in campus safe zone training. We serve as designated academic and mental health counselors for students. We create programming and education, all volunteer, of course, and serve as essential support for one another. Life on Zoom during the COVID quarantine actually provided a perfect opportunity to connect to other campuses across our district and Region 10 community colleges, where we built new networks in our now active District Queer Alliance and our regional San Diego Imperial Queer Alliance, which we affectionately call SIDQUA. The LGBTQ+ Alliance supporting San Diego Miramar College is extremely proud to accept this proclamation on behalf of our students, faculty, classified staff, and administrators who every day choose to make it a warm and welcoming place of belonging for our LGBTQIA+ students, as well as our campus employees. We hope to hang the proclamation in a prominent location on the wall of our soon-to-be-built Pride Resource Center, supported with state funding. It's especially gratifying to receive recognition and support from governmental offices, such as yours, in a time when, as you mentioned, hundreds of anti-LGBTQ+ bills are moving through various states across the United States. It's not lost on us how lucky we are to live in a county where the norm defaults towards inclusion and celebration of identities across the spectrum. Thank you again for this meaningful recognition.
Good morning. My name is Jessica Nair. I use she, her pronouns, and I serve as Assistant Vice President for Community and Belonging at San Diego State University.
And I'm Allison Newley, pronouns they, them, and I'm the Assistant Coordinator at the SDSU Pride Center.
And on behalf of SDSU, we are so proud to receive this award. SDSU is routinely named as one of the top LGBTQ plus friendly campuses in the United States and one of the best inclusive campuses for queer and trans students. We have a number of really robust programs to support 2S LGBTQIA plus students, including gender-inclusive healthcare on campus, gender-inclusive housing. We have a Pride-themed living floor for our first and second year students. We have a Pride mentorship program through our Pride Center. We have an annual retreat for queer and trans people of color, and many, many more initiatives to support the academic and personal success of students on our campus. We know that spaces like the Pride Center are incredibly critical to help students thrive in all aspects of their life during their academic journey at SDSU. How many alumni do we have in the room? Anyone from SDSU? Awesome. Well, we also invite you to attend and participate. We have an upcoming Pride flag raising ceremony on July 12th. We'll proudly raise the Pride flag on campus for the remainder of the month, and we invite folks to join us in that event. And then we also are proud to have a contingent of about usually around 150 to 200 people to participate in the Pride Parade. So you're welcome to join SDSU in that endeavor. Do you have anything else to add? Thank you so much. We're honored to be here.
Good morning, Chairwoman Vargas, Vice Chair Lawson-Remer, and members of the board as well. My name is Tamara Watson Foster. I am a county employee. I work for the Health and Human Services Agency proudly. I'm here today with my fellow board members from your San Diego County LGBTQ&A Employee Resource Group. I would like to simply say thank you. Thank you for the proclamation. Thank you for your kind words. But most importantly, thank you for recognizing the value of cultivating, celebrating, and supporting a diverse and inclusive workforce. When I graduated high school, the thing I wanted most in this world was to serve my country. I'm a little bit older than some of my fellow coworkers. At that time, we were just about to pass Don't Ask, Don't Tell. The recruiter who interviewed me did not care that the question was redacted on the interview worksheet. He didn't care. He didn't want any homosexuals in his army, he told me, except he didn't use the word homosexuals. He used a word that I won't repeat here. Following that heartbreak, I've worked for several employers who've told me I'm too big or too black or too gay. So it's such a breath of fresh air to work for San Diego County, where I can bring my true self to work entirely and completely every day. On this day, receiving this proclamation, we're just elated to hear you joining us in wishing all of San Diego a very happy Pride Month. And I hope we'll see some of you here tonight when we light up this building in the beautiful colors of the rainbow to celebrate Pride. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh my goodness. Thank you for sharing that story. We're going to go ahead and take a picture. Yeah? And I'll make sure that we get All right, the next proclamation is going to be given by Vice Chair Lawson Remer and Supervisor Anderson, honoring Alzheimer's and Brain Awareness Month, and accepting the proclamation will be Eric Thompson.
Okay. We want to take time this morning to shine a light on a cause that affects the lives of thousands of individuals and families in our county and millions more across our country. Alzheimer's and Brain Awareness Month is an annual observance dedicated to raising awareness about Alzheimer's disease and promoting brain health. Currently, Alzheimer's stands as the 5th leading cause of death in our nation. This harsh reality underscores the need for increased awareness to combat this formidable disease. Within our community, the Alzheimer's Association of San Diego and Imperial County plays a vital role. They provide care, support, advocacy, education, and resources for families in the San Diego region, whether they grapple with memory loss, Alzheimer's disease, or other forms of dementia. As we stand here today, let us acknowledge the staggering scope of Alzheimer's. More than 60,000 residents in San Diego County and over 6.5 million Americans nationwide are currently living with Alzheimer's disease. These individuals, along with their loved ones, face the tremendous challenges that come with this debilitating condition. But we can make a difference by driving research, raising awareness, and supporting organizations like the Alzheimer's Association, so those affected by dementia receive the care, support, and understanding they deserve. So thank you to the Alzheimer's Association San Diego Imperial County Chapter and all of those involved for your extraordinary work. My colleague, Supervisor Anderson, will now share a few words as well.
Thank you, Supervisor Lawson-Remer. I really appreciate doing this with you. This is such an important issue. This month is a great opportunity to bring awareness to the Alzheimer's disease and other types of dementia. Additionally, during this month, we get to show support for those struggling with Alzheimer's and other dementias, as well as recognizing the caregivers that assist them. I'm fortunately blessed to have Noah's Homes in my district. Noah's Homes is a nonprofit that provides exceptional residential services and opportunities to adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities. As people age, we're now seeing that in that community, they're being afflicted by dementia and Alzheimer's, just like Main Street, California. And during my first year in office, my staff and I had the opportunity to volunteer at Noah's Homes, and they allowed us to go through their dementia and disabilities escape simulation. This was highly specialized, hands-on training. The program helped caregivers and family members better understand the sensory difficulties experienced by people diagnosed with dementia. The entire experience was amazing and eye-opening. One of the ways to support the fight against Alzheimer's disease and other types of dementia can be shown by wearing purple or this pin. To show our support here at the county, I'm proud to partner with Vice Chairman Tara Lawson-Remer to co-author this proclamation. It will now read the last sentence. Be it proclaimed by Chairwoman Nora Vargas and all the members of the San Diego County Board of Supervisors on this 27th day of June 2023 that it commend the Alzheimer Association San Diego Imperial County Chapter for their outstanding service, leadership, and commitment to the citizens of San Diego County, and do hereby declare this month to be Alzheimer's and Brain Awareness Month throughout San Diego County. Thank you for all the great work that you do.
I will keep it brief. So basically, I would, on behalf of the Alzheimer's Association San Diego Imperial Chapter, those impacted by Alzheimer's and those who are working in the communities, to raise awareness and reduce the impact of this terrible disease has on our communities. Thank you. Thank you, Vice Chairperson Tara Lawson-Remer, Supervisor Joel Anderson, and the entire San Diego County Board of Supervisors for your support in helping raise awareness across San Diego County, not only with the proclamation, but also by illuminating the county building earlier this month in purple. Thank you. As you noted, there are more than 60,000 San Diegans currently living with Alzheimer's, and there's more than 160,000 San Diegans providing care, loved ones, family, etc. While the facts and figures around Alzheimer's and other dementia are daunting and overwhelming, we are on the brink of changing the face of this disease forever. We are entering the era of treatment. In fact, it's begun. We are making an impact, and we're doing that together. And truly, we want to thank you all again for your support. Thank you for being there, and thank you for wearing purple. And thank Zoe for making this happen. So Zoe's our advocacy director, our government relations person. So.
We need a photo. Yes.
Thank you. The next proclamation will be given by Supervisor Desmond, honoring Nurtured by Nature. Accepting the proclamation will be Wendy Yates.
Wendy, stand right here. Wendy, stand right here. Wendy, stand right here. I don't have you stand right here.
All right. Well, good morning, everyone. It's a great pleasure that I welcome the husband and wife duo of Kevin and Wendy Yates. They have their daughter Amanda, and Mike, you're the armadillo wrangler this morning. They're the founders of Nurtured by Nature, a unique nonprofit who work in cooperation with the Make-A-Wish program for children. So I want to say thank you very much for driving all the way down from Palmo Valley and Valley Center area and bringing our special guest today, which they're going to introduce in a few minutes. And what is this?
That is capybara, world's largest rodent, but a small version of one.
Oh, all right. A baby capybara. All right. And is this an armadillo?
This is a three-banded armadillo. This is cantaloupe.
Cantaloupe's his name. His name?
Her.
Her name. Okay. Okay. So June is Children's Awareness Month, and it's my honor to highlight Nurtured by Nature organization that actually began, unfortunately, at a great cost and loss. Through their personal hardships, Kevin and Wendy, their home was destroyed in the wildfires in 2003. And they received such a great outpouring of benefits and bountiful amount of support from the community. It inspired them to initiate Nurtured by Nature in 2008 and give back to the community. So their program provides once-in-a-lifetime experiences for children facing life-terminal illnesses, and by allowing individuals to interact with, feed, and touch animals in their facility, ranging from their most popular, the Asian small-clawed otters and capybaras. This is capybaras. Two-toed sloths, lemurs, and many more animals. We couldn't get them all in here today, but the purpose is to foster hope and well-being for children who have suffered severe emotional trauma by allowing them to gain joy and happiness through physical interactions with nature. Nurtured by Nature is also an official wish maker through their partnership with Make-A-Wish Foundation, and they donated nearly $300,000 to the foundation to allow more children to enjoy and delight in animals and nature, and we're honored to have them. They were honored to be as one of the Make-A-Wish Donor of the Year Award a couple years ago. Nurture by Nature has also been able to provide free programs and services to other organizations such as the Starlight Children's Foundation, the Dream Foundation, Big Brothers and Big Sisters, the Mary Lyons Foundation, the Elizabeth Hospice, and the Hospice of North County. Also, this outstanding organization, Nurture by Nature, collaborates and promotes conservation across the world, including working with the International Otter Survival Fund, the International Union for Conservation of Nature, the Sloth, Anteater, and Armadillo Specialist Group. There's a group for everybody. EcoLife, and many other organizations. But altogether, Nurtured by Nature has been an exceptional organization, and they've been committed to fostering a loving bond between animals and people, and bringing the public face-to-face with unique animals in a safe and controlled environments, and take on the responsibility to ensure the preservation and protection of some of our planet's and environment and animals. So whereas the County of San Diego is committed to recognizing and honoring those organizations and embodying the noblest ideas in the community, Nurtured by Nature is one such worthy organization. So therefore, be it proclaimed by myself and all the members of the San Diego County Board of Supervisors on this 27th day of June, that we celebrate June as Children's Awareness Month and commend Nurtured by Nature for their continued dedication and encouraging the bonds between humankind and nature, and positively changing children's lives with their Wishmaker program, and do hereby declare this day and month to be Nurtured by Nature Month throughout San Diego County. So thank you very much. You want to hang on to this? You want to speak?
Yeah, I'll speak.
Okay.
Hi, I apologize. I'm probably not as eloquent as some of the other speakers up here. I'm kind of a big zookeeper. But basically, the beginnings of us started with me as a child, and I wanted to really thank my parents because I have ADHD. And my parents used animals as a way for therapy and to inspire me to get good grades and to make it through school and to deal with some of the challenges. So actually I was blessed with ADHD and I was cursed with it. It's a blessing and a curse. There's good things. And so I feel like I have a lot in common with some of the other people that came up here and accepting people that are different and stuff like that. But I'm just very grateful to Jim Desmond for recognizing us and the entire Board of Supervisors. And Adrian's been wonderful in helping us. We have started a new facility on 5 acres. It was bought from Father Joe's, and we're turning it into, we're calling it Otter Valley, but it's basically a nature center to help people and inspire people like we've been inspired through the beauty of nature and the healing of nature and all the stuff that we've been blessed with. So I especially have to thank my parents and my community and my wife and my daughter and my friends for taking some of the different things that I do, or maybe more difficult things I do, and turning them into good things, turning that energy into something positive. So I just really appreciate everybody, and we really look forward to being able to do good things for our community and for people and for children, and we've got all kinds of neat, probably more than we can do, but we've got a lot of very inspirational, I think if anybody wants to talk about them or at any point in the future, programs and things that we're going to do to help out people in our county. And again, we'd like to really thank our community and pretty much helped us to make all this happen. And I won't ramble on too much, but thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. Is there a picture? Yeah.
I know we're supposed to take a picture. We have a lot of items, so let's go ahead and do that. I think this is why I'm not allowed to bring my dogs to work. I know, life would be so much happier. Thank you, Supervisor Desmond, for the fun moment. And congratulations. All right, we will now proceed with non-agenda public communications. This is an opportunity for the public to address the board on subject matters within the board's jurisdiction, but not an item on today's agenda. The only action that the board may take is a referral to the Chief Administrative Officer, and just a reminder to the rule number 4, members of the public that are non-English speaking and need interpretation assistance will get twice the allotted time for the comments, which is 4 minutes. To better facilitate the meeting, we'll have 5 speakers in person and 5 speakers via phone, and the rest of the non-agenda public communication will be heard at the close of business today. Clerk, can you call it, please?
Thank you, Chairwoman Vargas. We have 23 requests to speak on matters not listed on the agenda, 7 in person, and 16 requesting to speak by phone. For those that requested to speak by phone, please dial into the conference line now using the instructions that were provided to you. As the Chairwoman indicated, we'll be calling the first 5 speakers, and all the remaining speakers will be heard at the conclusion of today's session. As your name is called, please come forward and stand against the east wall under the murals until it is your turn to speak. I'd like to invite forward Michael Brando, Alan C., Mark, Carmelita Trujillo, and Terry Ryan. If I've called your name, please come forward. You'll have 2 minutes to address the board, and I'll ask you to please state your name for the audio record.
Good morning, Alan C. Thank you for the 2 minutes, Chair. Where she went. Basically, want to point out that board, 1 minute is not enough to cover all the consent. Previously, the previous chair, not here, but at Sandag, Mayor Todd Gloria, when we spoke over there, he gave me the full 3 minutes on every consent item the member of the public pulled. As set forth here, we have 15 consent items, and yet I suspect she's only going to give us a minute. That just doesn't seem right. Does not seem right at all. We should have allowed council, we should be allowed the full, at minimal, a minute per consent item. There's many items on the consent that are very important. I hope some of the board here will in fact pull them and that we're allowed to address them separately. We're talking about a lot of money, a lot of billions of dollars. So please, council, look into the Brown Act, because I believe that right now, violation of the Brown Act to allow 1 minute for 15 consent items, that's not good. Concern Health and Human Services, sir. I've mentioned before about Chula Vista, right behind that Walmart. It's a magnet for homeless. There's literally thousands of homeless surrounding. Harborside School, over 1,000 kids, and yet that Health and Human Services is actually a magnet to people living in tents. We know why they're living in tents. It's not financial. It's because of drug and alcohol abuse. We had to close Harborside Park. It's still closed because all the needles out there. Before you turn the keys over, can we do something about that? Please, because we're talking about kids' lives in danger and the community. Take a drive down there. Right behind Walmart, receiving, it is not helping. It is hurting the people down there. Do you want to help the people? Part of that big package you give them a job. Give them a sense of self-worth. Give them a way to get out of their homeless rut. That's how we're going to resolve this. Because just handing out marijuana cards and not treating the problem is not helping. I yield back.
Next speaker, please.
Mark, they don't give us time here to see these YouTube videos. There are times listed at the bottom to make it easier for you. I am not right or left, and Republicans and Democrats will agree to stop this. Rosa Corey was a district branch chief for the Department of Transportation. Her specialty is eminent domain valuation. She was a litigation support person and expert witness in land use and property valuation. This YouTube video at the Concord, New Hampshire legislature will tell you the scam these supervisors and city council are doing to you. She is a Democrat, and no one, Republican or Democrat, would want this scam. Start video at 3 minutes, 40 seconds. Zeitgeist Addendum can easily teach you and your fifth grader in 17 minutes about the Federal Reserve causing inflation, which is destroying our country now because you are not paying attention. Most Americans must know this to stop inflation and save our country. Start at 6 minutes, 40 seconds. The government has invested your family tax dollars and now own almost everything around you, including controlling interest in Fortune 500 companies, and they are not going to share it with you or even tell you it exists. These shares were paid for with your taxes, so we, the people, own this. If these shares were divided between all American citizens equally, we would all receive dividend checks and there would be no homeless. They intend to keep it for themselves as their government officials, CEOs, consultants get paid exorbitant salaries while never solving the problems that they create. This scam is called Hegelian dialectic. See this video titled To Understand. Both Trump and Biden have sold this out by giving powers of Congress to unelected foreign counsels. Trump signed it, Biden did not rescind it, and neither president nor the media told you a thing about it. See this video from 3 minutes to 6 minutes to understand, and share these with everyone. See the short YouTube video, Wealth Inequality in America. It's entitled Wealth Inequality in America. This is a scam. You guys need to see these videos.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Before a continuation of the speakers, just a reminder that there is no clapping in the chambers.
Hello, thank you for allowing me to speak today. My name is Carmelita Trujillo, and I'm here to thank the County of San Diego for funding the Mars World Teen Empowerment and Wellness Resource Fair of 2022. I also want to thank the City of Imperial Beach for hosting the event. The City of Imperial Beach is willing to host the event again this year, and we're asking the county to continue to support the event as well. My son, Marcelino Camarena, was a talented, smart, handsome young man who was so loved by many people. This is why I was confused, why he came to me on August 17th of 2022 and said, "Mom, I have nothing left to live for. I don't want to be here." An hour later, his sisters found him in his room. My son was gone. It was too late. He had died from an opioid overdose. My son was 17. What we accomplished by having the Mars World event is we gave the youth a positive outlet in which to express their feelings and cope with the death of my son. Secondly, it gave me, as the mother of my boy, the opportunity to be responsible for the type of influence he had and still has upon the community. Many times when one suicide occurs, others follow. In fact, a couple of days later, a youth tried to jump off the pier of Imperial Beach. Most importantly, we were able to create a positive point of contact between the youth, family, and community. Each a protective factor in the support of our youth's safe transition from adolescence to adulthood. By having the Mars World event of 2022, we were able to introduce the youth to many organizations available to serve them in our county of San Diego County. The following are a list of some of those organizations, all of whom attended the event and all who did their best to save my son. UPAC, McAllister Institute, Oasis Clubhouse, Pathways, NAMI, San Ysidro House, Sharp Mercy Hospital, Bridge Program, Mothers with a Message, Mid-City Music, Narcotics Anonymous, the San Diego County DEA, and the Imperial Beach.
Thank you. Next speaker, please. Thank you. Thank you. Next speaker, come forward, please.
My name is Terry Ryan. I'm a former Public Art Commissioner for Escondido. Today, I'd like to address the future voting on the harms reduction program, which is distributing free needles in the city. Escondido has invested in making our city walking accessible to art shops, restaurants, colleges, museums, city halls, Center of the Arts and Parks. Escondido houses the Safari Park, Children's Museum, John Paul and Palomar College, Grape and Kit Carson Park, Battle of San Pasquale Museum. We have vineyards, green. We have the Queen Magical Circle in Kit Carson Park, Future Building of Palomar Heights, murals and arts throughout our city streets. We want to keep our city accessible to safe walking and for the enjoyment of the citizens in Escondido and also for the visitors that come here. I'm asking the Board of Supervisors to not pick the City of Escondido for the harms reduction program, which, as I stated earlier, distributes free syringe needles within our city limits. It will have a negative impact on our city, our 23 elementary schools, some of which are right down in the city limits in central Escondido. I appreciate your time, and I hope you appreciate the future growth that we're trying to make in Escondido. We're trying to make a beautiful city where we can bring back people to enjoy it, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
In the premises.
Michael, June is also PTSD month. PTSD month. I went to Hillcrest last night to a candidate forum. The fellows that put it on really did a great job. However, I only stayed there for one question. Janessa, Monica, Paul, and Amy were asked about mental health. Now, they each only had 3 minutes to speak. But what was astonishing to me that all four of these people that want to be in that seat where Nathan used to sit, not one of them mentioned the policies that were pushed for the last 3 years. And we know in our hearts that that has a lot to do with the mental health issues that have been going on. Not one of them addressed that. So after the first round of answers, I got up and left. I do want to put a shout out to Paul McQuigg. He was quite the gentleman. He actually came up and engaged me in conversation. Also, because this board has been involved in misinformation for over 3 years, I want to invite you all to check this website out. It's called theendofcovid.com. Theendofcovid.com. Nick, I know this is outside your paradigm and the way you've been trained, but there's going to be over 100 presentations that are given about another way of looking at health, another way of looking at the nature of reality. And it actually offers a lot of hope to people besides the things that were but forced on people the last 3 years. That's it. Thanks.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the individuals.
Give me a minute. So, Paul and Consuelo, if you want to make sure that you're here through the rest of the day, I just want to remind you, this is going to be Consuelo's first notice. Paul, this is your second notice. On the third one, I'm going to ask you to leave the chambers. You either follow the rules or you don't. We have specific guidelines, and the boards and rules and procedures, audience members should not whistle, clap, stomp feet, or anything that disrupts the proceedings. We have a very long day today. You either follow the guidelines or you will be asked to be removed from the chambers. That is your first warning, and that is your second warning, sir. All right, that's your third warning. Please remove them from the chambers. Please be removed from the chambers, sir. Work to do, and we can't be doing this nonsense. All right, we're going to go ahead and clear the room until both of these folks leave, and then we're going to continue with the proceedings. All right, we're going to continue with our public comment. And again, just a reminder, we have very clear board and rules and procedures that are read to everyone from the beginning, and audience members should not whistle, tap, stomp, feet, or anything that disrupts the proceedings. We have a very packed day today, so I want to just ask everybody to make sure that we follow those rules so that we are able to hear from all the folks that spend so much time trying to make sure that this Board of Supervisors hears them, and it's important for us to hear from them as well. So go ahead, Andrew.
Thank you, Chairwoman Vargas. Now we'll hear from those that requested to speak by phone. When it is your turn to speak, you will be unmuted and you will hear a recording that will tell you to begin your comments after the beep. I'd remind the callers they should mute their TV or live video stream before they begin speaking. We'll start with our first caller.
Hey, it's Jim. Hey, there have been times during past meetings when Nathan Fletcher and even some callers offered an apology to people in the chambers for the actions of some speakers who had harsh and pointed critiques. There's an idea. Maybe we should all offer apologies for the behaviors of those who have obviously done actual harm to the people. Having said that, I would like to apologize on behalf of Nora, Nathan, Jim, Joel, Tara, to the citizens of the San Diego County. So I apologize for arbitrary rules made up on the spot to control the people's speech rather than to protect their First Amendment. I apologize for how they actively and rudely ignore the people, head buried in their cell phones or computers. Overall, I apologize for what they have done to the people. Number one, shutting down our liberties, our free movement, and our ability to practice healthy activities such as exercising, gathering, and even breathing. Number two, coercing innocent and gullible people to take a mysterious, untested jab, shown to be unhelpful, dangerous, and worse. Number three, forcing small businesses owned by for generations to close for good. Number four, guiding the citizens into learned helplessness as the public blindly believes these leaders should be in charge of their lives. Number five, leaving the border open, allowing fatal fentanyl to pour in and misguiding masses with a promise to take care of them when in the end an overwhelmed system will ruin us all. Number six, treating homeless like pawns in their game of control and budgetary waste. And finally, I apologize to Audra Morgan for what the dishonorable, gutless, spineless Sheriff Gonzalez did to you, beating up a female just because he can, as your shrieks filled one hallway and as those leaders and other officers stood silently by as cowards. I apologize for what Gonzalez did, something no real peace officer or no real man would ever do.
I'll hear from the next caller.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors, Chair Nora Vargas. My name is Terry Ann Skelly, and I work with the schools and PTAs in county youth mentoring programs, and I also attend my county planning group. I came here today because I know that our county school districts have dealt all this school year with indications of mental health struggles of its students, including threats of violence and bullying by students to each other. And recently, most severe form of all mental health struggles, another student suicide. As a principal recently wrote, and I quote, "This is a tragedy for a family and a community. We continue to work on a comprehensive plan to address the mental health challenges that our students are facing. We will get ahead of this, but it will take time, dedicated resources, and a commitment from everyone," end quote. It is this commitment to which I speak today. We need the Board of Supervisors to make a commitment to our youth. Students need clear messages regarding how to best handle problems that are not short-term solutions. In other words, drugs are never the answer. Not alcohol, not tobacco, not marijuana, or abuse of prescription drugs. Pushing the pause button on adding more hot shops to the county's marijuana storefronts and their roaming deliveries would show your commitment to prevention and to our youth. Thank you for hearing my concerns this morning.
Thank you. Now hear from the next caller.
Barbara Gordon.
Good morning to the Board of Supervisors. As someone who cares about the environment and public health, I am concerned about the county's cannabis equity framework that has the county collaborating with the marijuana industry to increase the number of marijuana businesses in the backcountry. The supervisors asserted that more marijuana would bring environmental justice and social equity to the unincorporated communities. But the unincorporated communities do not want or need more pot in their neighborhoods. These policies undermine community priorities for clean air, water, safe roads, environmental concerns, and the quality of life. There is heavy water consumption and pesticides and insecticides, all used in marijuana grow sites. The environmental destructive history of the marijuana industry is well documented. The marijuana industry promotes and sells a product that is addictive. The science that warns of the mental health risks of high THC products is also well documented, especially for young people. I respectfully request on behalf of the public interest that the county does not continue to invest in the marijuana industry. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the next caller.
Yeah, hi, my name is Sandy Smith, and I've been a resident of Mira Mesa for over 50 years. Happy Pride Month, and go Miramar College. I recently reread Supervisor Lawson Reamer's community updates from June 2nd, 2023, where it was mentioned that $8 million had been secured to reactivate the Mira Mesa Epicenter and create a youth-focused community center. This statement and many others give the impression that the decision has already been made and that the community input is merely symbolic. Is the county creating a false impression of valuing community input when a predetermined plan may already be in place without even approved lease on the epicenter? It makes you wonder, why would they do this when there's no logical reason to spend $8 million of taxpayers' money on the same youth-focused programs in the same location that have failed many times over? That is why the building is deserted. We need to stop pouring money into what has become a costly failed teen venture known as the Epicenter. It would be more cost-effective investment to support the Mira Mesa Park and Rec and enhance their programs for the youth in order to prevent duplication of funds and effort. It is time for us to adopt a more intelligent approach and to stop the cycle of poor planning in Mira Mesa. It's time to throw out the old playbook, as Tara likes to say. Do what's best for the children. Let us transform the Epicenter to a performing arts and cultural center with an auditorium-style theater that will serve the whole community, all ages, kids, teens, and adults. By investing in the future, the impact of our children's lives will be ever-changing and transformative. This will truly follow your principle of spending taxpayers' money based on diversity, equity, and inclusion. Thank you very much for allowing me to speak, and please do what's best for the kids. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the next caller.
Nancy Logan. Good morning. I coordinate a program called Start Smart, where teens and their parents attend a required evening presentation which emphasizes the problems that come with distracted and drug-impaired driving. I followed the county's unfortunate idea to add more marijuana businesses to our beautiful backcountry. This comes with tremendous concern to me regarding more drug-impaired driving, which is always deadly, especially on county back roads that are winding and poorly lit. Sadly, I speak with experience, as I was a passenger in a car hit by a drug and alcohol-impaired driver, which killed my husband instantly. Please listen as I state a few recent facts written by San Diego City Attorney Mara Elliott. Cannabis affects your fine motor skills, memory, depth perception, and coordination. It slows reaction times, which can be disastrous on the road. We hear rumors that drivers high on marijuana tend to drive slower than usual. The fact is, instead of being more cautious, drivers with cannabis in their systems are more likely to cause accidents. People who drive immediately after using marijuana increase their risk of getting into a crash by 25 to 30%. It is disingenuous not to understand that more marijuana shops mean more marijuana use, which means more marijuana impaired driving. Please let this cascading amount of research regarding marijuana be your guide. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And Chairwoman Vargas, that concludes the request for non-agenda public communication this morning. Again, all the remaining speakers will be heard at the conclusion of today's session.
Thank you. The next item on our agenda is the approval of the minutes, statement of proceedings for the regular Board of Supervisors meeting of June 13, 2023, the budget hearings of June 12, 2023, and June 15, 2023, and the sanitation district meeting of June 14, 2023. Is there a motion to approve? Is there a second? I have a motion and a second. Please vote.
Chairwoman Vargas, that motion passes unanimously with all supervisors being present and voting aye.
Thank you. We'll now proceed with the formation of our consent calendars. Item 1 through 15, members of the public will be able to comment on the consent calendar after the supervisors pull the items they would like for discussion. Would any of my colleagues like to pull any items for discussion? Supervisor Anderson? All right, Supervisor Desmond?
No items to pull. I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar.
Okay, we have a motion. Vice Chair Lawson-Lima? Would you like to make a second? Anybody? I can make a second. All right, we'll have you make a second. And I just want to say on 2 items really quickly. Item number 5, I want to I think it's extremely exciting that we're doing the San Diego Riverbed partnership with the City of San Diego, City of Santee, and Caltrans, and that there's over 300 folks that are currently living in that area, and we're going to be able to clean it up. And I think there's about $17 million that are going to be used for that. And then on item 12, I want to thank our District Attorney, Summer Stephan, for her partnership in this process, and the creation of the South County Family Justice Center is going to come to fruition in a really, really short amount of time. So I just wanted to say that publicly. So thank you very much. With that, I'm going to turn it over to public comment. And as a reminder for members of the public, keep your comments related to those items only on the consent calendar. Clerk?
Thank you, Chairwoman Vargas. Before I call the public speakers, I would like to note for the record that item 11 includes adoption of an ordinance approving compensation for the Chief Medical Officer. Pursuant to Government Code Section 54953, prior to taking final action, the legislative body shall orally report a summary of the recommended final action on the salary or compensation paid in the form of fringe benefits of local agency executives. If approved, the Chief Administrative Officer, when serving in the role of interim HHSA Deputy Chief Administrative Officer, will receive a 10% increase to their current base hourly rate of pay and a monthly auto allowance of the equivalent rate established by Administrative Code Section 496. We have 14 requests to speak on items listed on the consent calendar, 6 in person and 8 requesting to speak by phone. Any members of the public that requested to speak on items on the consent calendar, please dial into the conference line now using the instructions that were provided to you. We'll begin with the in-person speakers, starting with those in favor of the items on the consent calendar, followed by those in opposition. As your name is called, please come forward, and I'll ask you to please identify which item on the agenda you're speaking on. I'd like to invite forward Pam and Courtney Baltiski. You'll have 2 minutes to address the board. They'll be followed by the speakers in opposition, Mark, Alan C., Michael Brando, and Truth. I'll ask you to please state your name for the audio record. You'll have 2 minutes.
Okay, Pam, Agenda 3. I support help for improving the health of all infants in need, but not based on equity or race, based on their need. I recall when this funding was offered for the same reason. Hopefully the previous funds were used appropriately to help all infants in dire straits. With the prior Democratic majority on this board, we need to ask, why do disparities in the Black infant health still exist in this county and funds still needed? But we know the answer. If a problem is resolved, then the money dries up. It must be a conundrum for some members on this board specifically promoting the health of any infants while at the same time promoting this county as an abortion sanctuary. So Nora, as a former executive in Planned Parenthood, and Tara, an abortion promoter, it must be maddening to decide which side you're on. The side that favors the killing of healthy, unborn babies, or the use of funds to help those babies who survived birth but are unhealthy and are in need. The health of all infants, unborn or born, should be promoted. In society, the strong should always protect the weak. Per the Equity Impact Statement, an important indicator of overall population health is infant mortality. Aborted babies should always be included in this death count. And now post-COVID, experimental injection, miscarriages and stillbirths should also be included in this death count.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good morning, Chairwoman Vargas and Supervisors. Speaking on item 15, receival of the Child Care Blueprint. My name is Courtney Baltiski with the YMCA Child Care Resource Service and the Children First Collective San Diego. We want to thank you for calling for the creation of the San Diego County Child Care Blueprint. Thank you so much for sharing our vision that San Diego County is a place where every family has access to child care that meets their needs, that child care provider workforce is highly valued and financially thriving, and that all types of child care settings support children's healthy development. As an aspiring ally to families who continue to face injustice and all of our 4,000 plus early educators, I can tell you that they feel seen, they feel heard in this blueprint. So thank you for taking their feedback in earnest throughout the creation process. It was an honor to participate on the action team with county staff. We look forward to future collaborations to bring the blueprint to life. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Hello, LNC. Concerning item 5, the encampment is so heartless. That is so heartless. I mentioned before about the tiny homes down Chula Vista. There's rules down there, Nora. No alcohol abuse, no drug abuse. These encampments don't do that. So how are we truly helping these people? After the SANDAG meeting Friday, I went out, walked down to a local business, struggling business, serving Mideastern food, and yet right next to them, rows and rows of tents. Why are the people in tents? It's not financial, it's drug abuse. As I mentioned before, you want to really help these people, encampments is not the answer if you don't enforce treatment. Golden Hall had a 550-bed shelter, open bay birthing, where they could be monitored, but they failed because they didn't enforce treatment. All right, let's look at all these other items. You got multiple, literally multiple grants on here, and I'm wondering who decides who? Does that restaurant get help? And them 3 restaurants, screw you guys, you're out of luck. Who decides? Anytime you do a grant, that's communism, where you're favoring your favorite restaurant, your favorite grocery store over the other 4. Get rid of the grants and put the tax money back into the working class people. That's how you're going to solve it. I'm going to quote a 250-year document: life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. Pursuit is so important. By doing these grants, you're taking away our right to pursue. When you take away the right to pursue, you take away innovation, our freedom to actually excel. The grants is not helping anybody. All you're doing is paying back your own donators, and you're only helping only a select few. You want to help everybody? Stop taxing people to death and get it back to the working class people. That's how we're going to resolve this. I yield back.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Mark, see these YouTube video titles to understand how these criminal supervisors are stealing from you. Item 1, the main cause of divorce and domestic violence is financial stress, which these supervisors have guaranteed by refusing to call out or stop the Federal Reserve from intentionally causing huge inflation.
What item are you speaking?
That was on 1. Item 2. After Googling this site, accusing past District Attorney Bonnie Dumanis, district attorneys, police officers, union officials, and many elected officials' corruption, I have no faith in your insurance fraud programs. Item 4. Seeing this article gives me no confidence in your AIDS program. Item 5. You're subsidizing of homeless people's rent with our tax dollars instead of letting homeless people use 3D printed movable 10x10 rooms for free at no cost to the taxpayers. Just shows what a scam you are, making money for your evil corporation while never addressing the real problem the Federal Reserve is intentionally causing with inflation, which is and will destroy America if people don't join and stop you. These supervisors and their government corruption is intentionally causing homelessness. Item 7, Section 6, allocation of funds. As pointed out in the YouTube documentary, Planet of the Humans, it takes more fossil fuel to make solar panels and windmills than to just use fossil fuels. While implementing a few good ideas such as ridding our ocean of plastic, Emerald Keepers is indoctrinating children as you use the environment as an excuse for tyrannical control by forcing austerity measures. The County of San Diego's strategic plan to reduce carbon emissions to zero by 2030 is a tyrannical authoritarian plan impoverishing people, so they are trapped in their strictly controlled communities with no power to change their government, which is already stealing our money and property with deceptive titles such as tenant protection ordinance. Instead of stopping the Federal Reserve's inflation scam and forcing corporations to provide a good standard of...
Thank you. Your time is up. Next speaker, please.
Guys, and pet that armadillo. It's messed up. All right, it's truth. Item 1, the state's victim compensation program offers $189,000 a year, which is pretty measly for survivors of crime, while political flying monkey minions get millions in the dark thanks to Joel. Item 2 is DA Summer getting a total of $27.6 million in state debt dollars for fraud programs. That's ironic since most of her buzz lines come across as fraud. Item 3 is over $484,000 in state debt dollars for a perinatal equity initiative and Black infant health program where the state pretends to care about Black babies while they also prop up racist Planned Parenthood. That's injustice. Item 5 is almost $17 million in state debt dollars to continue the framework for extending homelessness with the encampment resolution funding rolling grant. You know what that is? Rolling in millions. Item 6, 7, 8, and 9. Nora, Taryn, Jim, and Joel spend only about $255,000. What? Oh man, it did include $10,000 to Exposure Skate, who've allowed men to take over what used to be a women's event. I did like that item 7 contained a background on the organizations. That's how it should always be done. Item 11, Eric McDonald's getting a raise while 3D Nick's moving on up to do his evil unimpeded at UCSD. Item 14, no to Eric Bruvald to the Community Action Partnership Board. Eric's a fellow at the UC Institute on Global Conflict and Cooperation, which is partnered with the government's experimental Lawrence Livermore Lab. He also supports Stack and Packs and extending the Transnet sales tax to benefit public transit. And no to Michael Cosma to the Arts and Culture Commission, unless that's the child operatic singer. If not, no to the guy that created microscale hydrogels for 2D and 3D cell cultures and electrically controlled artificial muscles. Overall, no consent to the consent as usual. Thanks.
Next speaker, please.
Michael, items 1 through 13. Please do not interrupt me. All of this ties together. Language matters. Item 1. The District Attorney's Office responds with culturally competent, trauma-informed care to individuals and families harmed by crime. Lie, I haven't seen any of that. I didn't see any of that in regards to Audra Morgan being beaten in the hallway. 2, sustainability. County of San Diego's sustainability goals of protecting the health and well-being of everyone in the region. Lie, because they tried to force the poison serum injections on people. 3, achieving health equity. There's that word again. Does not make any sense. People get to project onto the word equity whatever they want it to mean, and it changes by the day. 4, LGBTQ plus. Again, I've addressed this before. According to the Gallup poll, how many people are in this bucket? Again, this is none of your business who is in what bucket, if they even choose a bucket. Sustainability goal to transition to a green carbon-free economy. That's a lie. The climate change is a lie. Climate does change, but not because of the reasons I say it is. Number 5, equity impact. The framework for ending homelessness is referenced. They never talk about the homeless industrial complex, which is a reality. Sustainability impact goal number 3, to protect health and well-being. That's another lie because they promoted the safe and effective injections. Oh my gosh, I could go on and on and on. But, in regards to all of this, wrapping it up instead of reading all the other stuff, I want to thank you for putting this together because it really helps understand who's running what around here. It's a great, great display of who's involved in what here. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the individuals that requested to speak by phone. When it is your turn to speak, you'll be unmuted and you will hear a recording that will tell you to begin your comments after the beep. I'd remind the callers they should mute their TV or live video stream before they begin speaking. We'll start with our first caller.
Good morning. My name is Peggy Walker, public health educator. I'm speaking to item 3. CDC says marijuana is the most widely federally illegal drug used during pregnancy, but unfortunately, a growing number of pregnant women falsely believe it's a safe way to treat nausea. But the science shows that use during pregnancy comes with deadly risks. A higher risk of being stillborn, low birth weight, preterm birth, and long-term brain development issues that affect memory, learning, and behavior. As a public health educator, I urge you to use these funds to educate pregnant women regarding these high risks of cannabis use. Pregnant women deserve to understand that marijuana has 500 chemicals, including THC content, stronger than ever. These pass through a woman's placenta and also through breast milk, making its use highly risky for developing and nursing babies. Please help women understand this. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the next caller.
Good morning, everyone. This is Katie Ross, Director of Community Impact with the San Diego Foundation. I'm speaking to item 15 on behalf of San Diego Foundation. San Diego Foundation inspires enduring philanthropy and enables community solutions to improve our quality of life, and that is why we support San Diego Child Care Blueprint. For our region's families, child care workers, and economy, the San Diego Foundation believes it is critical to enact the Child Care Blueprint goals to strengthen the local child care workforce and decrease barriers to accessing affordable quality care for children and families. The Child Care Blueprint goals align with our commitment to a just, equitable, and resilient community and the over $9 million in local investments that have been made into early care and education through our early childhood initiative. Philanthropy can play an important role in advancing this issue in coordination with effective public policy and resources. We thank the Board of Supervisors and staff for making child care a priority. San Diego Foundation looks forward to working with you to bring the blueprint to life. We appreciate all that you do for our community.
Thank you. Now hear from the next caller.
My name is Rick Richardson. I'm calling in support of Agenda Item 15, CR 14, the County Child Care Blueprint, on behalf of Child Development Associates. I'm also a father and a parent. I'd like to thank the Board of Supervisors for supporting a vision that the county is a place where every family has access to child care, that the child care workforce is valued and financially thriving, and children receive support for healthy development. I ask that you approve this blueprint and commit the local funding investment necessary to fully implement the blueprint and realize this vision. In support. Thank you.
Thank you. Now hear from the next caller.
Hi, my name is Erin Hogeboom. I'm Director of San Diego for Every Child, an initiative to cut the experience of child poverty in our region in half by 2030, and I'm also co-lead of the Children First Collective San Diego. As a mother myself, I first want to thank the Board of Supervisors for calling for the creation of the San Diego County Child Care Blueprint. This comment is in support of Item 15, the Child Care Blueprint CR 15 and 14 in terms of communications received. I want to thank the Board of Supervisors for calling for the creation of this and for sharing that vision that San Diego County is a place where every family has access to child care that meets their needs, that the child care provider workforce is highly valued and financially thriving, and that all types of child care settings support children's healthy development. We know that the foundational strategy to bring this blueprint to life starts with you. That's also why I'm calling in today, to ask that you commit the local funding investment needed to really fully implement this blueprint and realize this vision. We know that the creation of the Child and Family Wellbeing Department takes us one huge step in the right direction, and what's needed next is a local dedicated fund to support our region's children, families, and child care providers. So thank you so much for your historic and transformative leadership on this, and for continuing to work with us to really make San Diego a wonderful place to be born, to grow up, and to raise a family. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the next caller.
You guys are on a roll today. It's so great, Michael. Love what you had to say. And it's so true. So, I mean, the DA, you know, it's like you guys always talk about like one victim is just too many, right? And like you just fair and equal justice for all. That's never happened, and you guys know it because nothing has happened with Gonzalez. He can beat people, and it's not illegal because he's wearing a costume. And then the whole, you know, every child should actually be, and like Pam was saying, the needs should be based on their needs, not equity or race. And you guys need to quit giving shots for these if you want HIV to go away. But why would you do that? Because you have to have HIV there in order to get funding. And so I'm wondering, when you're getting this nearly $17 million for these encampments, because they are, the city is actually voting on this currently on the ordinance, and the police are already telling people that that it's been passed. But how much of that is going to go to these 300 in the riverbed? And because Nora, you just said that's going to go to clean it up. Well, the whole reason you're getting the money is because you're supposed to close the encampments and move them into housing and shelter. So if you're just using that money for the cleanup of that and not for any of these people to be rehoused, then you're doing a disservice, and you're doing exactly what everybody has been saying that you guys are doing. And yeah, but I mean, you have to, you know, play the game. And I'm just kind of confused. Is this the last time we're going to see the neighborhood in reinvestment? Because I thought Joel wanted to keep that a secret from everybody because he doesn't want to be transparent, you know. So, yeah, and what else? How you doing, Nora? It was really good seeing you at CARB the other day. Thank you for telling him my name. That was so nice of you. But it's always good seeing you in the meeting. It's just,
Thank you. For the record, that speaker was Audra. We'll now hear from the next caller.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors. This is Ann Riddle. I'm calling in support of consent item 3, the Board of Supervisors acceptance of perinatal equity initiative funding from the Department of Public Health, the California Department of Public Health. On behalf of Coastal PTAs, where I'm the legislative VP, we want to support the county in any way that improves the health of our mothers as they begin the journey of parenting. However, I wanted to bring to you some information from a study that was published last month in the Journal of Pediatrics regarding marijuana use during pregnancy. They looked at 3 items: weight, length, and head circumference of newborns, and related it to the use of marijuana by mothers during gestation. And then they found that on all 3 parameters, weight and head size and birth and smaller head circumference, that the babies didn't fare as well for whose mothers had used marijuana during pregnancy. And even during the first trimester use only, babies' weight was affected. So I'm hopeful that as we move forward with this, that we will recognize the women of childbearing age need to be educated regarding the harms associated with using marijuana during pregnancy, and that conversations will occur with pregnant patients and families so they can be better informed regarding their decisions. Thank you.
Thank you. And Chairwoman Vargas, that concludes public comment on the items in the consent calendar.
So we have a motion and a second. Please vote.
Chairwoman Vargas, that motion passes unanimously with all supervisors being present and voting aye.
Thank you so much. All right, so the next item for discussion is item 16, the proclamation of a local emergency for the U.S.-Mexico transboundary pollution, environmental crisis, and request for federal state of emergency. I just wanted to, first and foremost, I want to say thank you to Mayor Paloma Aguirre and Councilmember Jack Fisher for being here today. As the representative for District 1 and a longtime advocate, I'm really proud to bring this local state of emergency for the impacts of the Tijuana River Valley environmental public health care crisis with my colleague, Vice Chair Lawson Weimer. And I appreciate that together we're declaring once and for all the Tijuana River Valley a state of emergency. I think like many of you who live in this region, we're very frustrated that we could keep fighting and advocating for many decades so that our communities can just have clean water. I'm proud that since I became supervisor, the role of the county has prioritized now the Tijuana River Valley. The first step is that we declared the Tijuana River Valley a public health care crisis. And then in the last couple of budget cycles, we've been able to step up and invest funding for infrastructure projects and funding from the federal government for the Tijuana River Valley for the sediment basin construction, Smuggler's Gulch, beach and bay water program, and brown property transportation. Our beach and bay water program data is showing us an accurate picture, which is why we did it to begin with, in addition to making sure that our communities were safe. That pollution that we have in the county now we have the data to substantiate that we must declare this a local state of emergency. What we're asking here is we're asking that the federal and state government to really just step up and provide the funding that we need to ensure that our families, businesses, and visitors in these communities have clean water. Our ongoing collaboration for consistency and infrastructure projects at all levels of government is needed, and there are concerns. There are some projects already that are in play, that the CBP barrier gate, that can really lead to greater pollution, exacerbating this emergency. And so it's extremely important to us that we declare this today and ask my colleagues to support us in this process, because as we declare this local state of emergency, we're asking the governor to declare that a state of emergency and work with the federal government to ensure that this is an emergency declaration. Additionally, the actions today are going to direct the Chief Administrative Officer to assess the economic impacts resulting from the U.S.-Mexico border transboundary pollution environmental crisis and provide the report to the board within 120 days to outline the extent of the economic consequences. And finally, our CAO will continue to actively pursue all available federal and state funding sources that can contribute to addressing the transboundary pollution environmental crisis. Contamination at Tijuana River Valley has negatively impacted the health of the border coastal communities in San Diego County and our national region for far too long. Decades after decades, communities of South County and our coastline have been disproportionately impacted by the pollution transporting flows that continue to cause beach advisories, closures, health issues for our community, and economic impacts for our local businesses. I want to also say thank you to our environmental justice groups, community leaders, and organizations that have been working on these issues around the region and District 1 for decades. And so I'm asking my colleagues to strongly support today's actions, and so I would like to make a motion to support this board, the proclamation to declare a local emergency for U.S.-Mexico transboundary pollution environmental crisis and a request for federal state of emergency today. You can go ahead and speak.
I'd love to second the motion, so thank you. I'm very proud to bring this item forward with my colleague, Chairwoman Vargas. Today marks a key moment in a long battle to protect our beaches and coastlines. Our coastal communities have suffered from this crisis for far too long. And today at the county, we're saying enough. This has got to end. We're now calling on our state and our country to finally recognize this Tijuana sewage crisis for the emergency that it is, and to take immediate action to stop the sewage. Parts of Imperial Beach have been shuttered every single day this year. Coronado has had a beach closure nearly 80% of the year. But 35 million gallons of sewage continue to flow into the ocean every day, poisoning our environment, wreaking havoc on our tourism industry, and threatening the health of our residents. This is absolutely unacceptable. Over the past 2 years, we've made some strides at the county and federal levels to address these pollution issues on our side of the border, including massive new investments in stormwater infrastructure by our county and a $300 million commitment from Congress to improve sewage treatment along the border in the Tijuana River Valley. But we've recently found out that half of that $300 million that we've dedicated is going to need to go to deferred maintenance and upgrades instead of the much-needed expansion of the wastewater treatment plant. And the funding to permanently fix this issue will cost hundreds of millions of dollars more than what the U.S. and Mexico governments have committed to date. Until the dilapidated wastewater plant in Mexico is fixed, we will still be fighting an uphill battle. And we cannot spend years waiting for these fixes to be made. We need action now. It's time to put an end to this crisis. Declaring a federal emergency will streamline the allocation and expenditure of critical funds that our congressional delegation has already worked hard to secure, and cut through the kind of bureaucracy that tied up the $300 million in funds for more than a year, so we can get shovels in the ground immediately. And it's going to put pressure on the Mexican government to do their part. A federal emergency lets Mexico know that Punta Bandera must be fixed. And it's not just a San Diego issue, it's a major national priority of the United States of America. Our congressional leaders have already taken action, writing to President Biden to urge an emergency declaration and writing to the governor of Baja calling for regular updates and to move forward with implementation of local measures as quickly as possible. We also have gathered, as of today, over 2,300 petition signers in our county calling for a federal state of emergency. This item is incredibly important to the health, economy, and well-being of our region. We cannot wait any longer for action to resolve the sewage crisis that's impacting our community. I hope I can count on my colleagues for your support, and thank you very much for partnering with me on this item.
All right, we're going to go ahead and turn it over to public comment.
Thank you, Chairwoman Vargas. We have 23 requests to speak on this item, 12 in person, 11 requesting to speak by phone. Also note for the record that we received 119 e-comments, 110 in favor, 4 in opposition, and no neutral. Any members of the public that requested to speak on item 16 by phone, please dial into the conference line now using the instructions that were provided to you. We'll begin with the in-person speakers, starting with those in favor of this item. As your name is called, please come forward and stand against the east wall under the murals until it is your turn to speak. I'll be calling you in groups of 5, so I'll ask you to please listen for your name. I'd like to invite forward Mayor Paloma Aguirre, Councilmember Jack Fisher, followed by Scott Stutzman, Courtney Baltiski, and Amy Stewart. You'll have 2 minutes to address the board, and I'll ask you to please state your name for the audio record.
Good morning, Honorable Chair, Vice Chair, members of the board. My name is Paloma Aguirre. I'm the mayor of the great city of Imperial Beach. We are a predominantly minority community that has been historically under-resourced. We have suffered for decades the impacts from cross-border pollution related to the Tijuana River. We've had our beach closed every single day this year. Our south end of our beach has been closed as of today for 562 consecutive days. We all know the severe impacts to our community's well-being, our quality of life, our environment, our public health, our economy. The impacts are quite severe. I just want to take a brief moment to thank my council colleagues for their support on this item. I also want to thank every single mayor in this county, all 17 of my fellow mayors who've signed on to a letter calling for a declaration of a state of emergency. I'd also like to thank Chair Donna Brownsey and my fellow colleagues at the Coastal Commission for also supporting this issue, as well as Cali PA Secretary Yana Garcia for sending a letter to the Department of State and US EPA urging for increased funding for this situation. Yes, we've heard that, just because of this article recently, the International Wastewater Treatment Plant is in severe need of rehabilitation that's going to eat up into the $300 million that we've secured. And we're talking about an additional 5, 10, 15 years that we cannot afford. With increased projected rainfalls, and especially a strong El Nino, is going to cause increased flooding in our community. We're going to have literally wastewater flooding our streets. And with projected climate change numbers, we're going to see those events happening more and more frequently. So the situation is very dire. We now know that the pathogens transmit in aerosolized form. And this is the moment now. This is the moment, and I beg you to please approve this state of emergency so that we can finally get the assistance that we need from our state and federal governments to finally put a solution to this issue. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good morning, board. Jack Fisher, longtime Imperial Beach resident. I want to thank the chair and the vice chair for bringing this forward. I've lived in Imperial Beach since 1976. And at that time, this issue was 40 years old. It's continued to go on for the past 47 years, willfully neglected by our federal and our state government. They have known about this problem. This isn't something new. This isn't something that has just recently popped up. But it's gotten to the point where it needs to be addressed. Through the time that I've spent in Imperial Beach, I've seen amazing improvements. It used to be a town that was known for its biker gangs and bars, but now it's known for its beautiful beaches, restaurants that look over the Pacific Ocean. We have seen such an incredible change. However, the water quality is the last piece to this puzzle. It needs to change. And through the support, not only of the Board of Supervisors, but the mayors through this region, that it gets addressed. It used to be easy to overlook a small southern city in California that was 27,000 people and recognizing that their needs weren't very great. However, we know now that this beach services the region, which is about 650,000 people who have not had the opportunity to enjoy the beach, to put their feet into the water, to go swimming, to learn how to surf. As I look at the kids from this time during the school year when they're out on break, as a kid, my shoes came off. I don't think I put sandals on, and I went barefoot because I was at the beach all the time. And like many of those who can relate, my signal to go home was watching the sun go down and making sure that I made it home before the sun set for dinner. And so I am grateful for the opportunity to have the Board of Supervisors of the County of San Diego behind this and to help us in our continuing fight to get this resolved, and that the federal and our state government will understand the importance of this, not only to a sleepy beach town, but to a region. Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Honorable Board, Supervisors, and County staff, my name is Scott Stutzman. I am a resident with my wife in Imperial Beach. We bought our residence in 1998 and have experienced in our retirement years the increasing stench and consequences of the Tijuana Basin wastewater into our estuary and ocean surf over the past years. When the congressional funding of $300 million was available in 2020, we hoped things could be fixed by maybe 2025, well, maybe 2026. In the IBWC September 2021 presentation, that hope was still possible. That was back before we had the current awareness of how bad the neglected, overused, completely failed, fragile system is. Before we learned how long active viruses and bacteria could exist in the ocean surface spray. Before the full costs were evident, and before the continual extension of fix-it days and fix-it years. We hope the board today will support the request for emergency funding. We hope the money will be spent as soon as possible. The escalation rate for infrastructure material from 20 to 25 is expected to have a 20 to 30% reduction in purchasing power based upon historic and predictive industrial indices. We hope our Mexican neighbors will do their part to act upon their stated commitments and fix them as soon as possible. We immensely appreciate this discussion and hopeful passage by the board to request federal and state emergency assistance to the problem that affects approximately 440,000 residents of the South Bay area so that they can safely go to their closest beaches and not have to travel the extra mileage to go to OB, Mission, or La Jolla beaches. To all involved in the efforts to facilitate the earliest possible remedy on this matter, thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Good morning, Chairwoman Vargas and Supervisors. Courtney Baltiski with the YMCA of San Diego, here representing YMCA Camp Surf. Camp Surf has operated down in Imperial Beach for over 53 years and is a treasure to our community. On leased naval land for over 5 decades, thousands of youth and their families have learned critical skill development in the open water, as well as celebrated recreation opportunities on the coast. In fact, it's the only overnight camp that exists in the world right on the coastline. But as Mayor Aguirre has shared, our entire spring season has been closed to the beaches. Our entire summer season is projected to be closed. We're still welcoming families and campers, but making cumbersome accommodations to get our campers to other beaches across the region. We are really appreciative of the San Diego region mayors for flagging urgency to the federal government on this and encourage you to do the same. Thank you.
Thank you. As the next speaker is coming forward, I'd like to invite the remaining speakers in favor: Mitch Silverstein, Ashley Hedrick, and Adam Raitt.
Good morning. My name is Amy Stewart. I'm president and founder of Emerald Keepers, a nonprofit focused on sustainability and stewardship in Coronado. For decades, sewage has plagued Imperial Beach's waters with 35 million gallons of sewage a day spilling into the ocean from across the border. The beaches have been closed in Imperial Beach all year, and 80% this year in Coronado. This sewage sludge is negatively affecting ecosystems, human health, arguably national security, and our economy. Summer visitors come to Coronado to enjoy our beaches, rated among the top 10 in America. Not being able to enjoy the beaches and water is hurting Coronado's hotels and downtown businesses. Thanks to your more robust and accurate water testings of our beaches, beach water, we have a more accurate read on water quality each day. This knowledge is imperative if swimmers, children building sandcastles, and surfers are to make an informed decision about water entry. I'm here today as a representative of Emerald Keepers to ask for the County Board of Supervisors support for Chairwoman Nora Vargas's and Supervisor Tara Lawson-Remer's proposal to declare a local state of emergency and call on the Biden administration to declare a federal emergency to end this crisis. This crisis has been allowed to fester and grow for decades. Only a united effort will convince Washington it is time to put a stop to sewage on our beaches. Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Good morning, Chair Vargas, Vice Chair Lawson-Remer, Supervisor Anderson, Supervisor Desmond, and staff. My name is Mitch Silverstein. I'm the San Diego County Policy Coordinator for the Surfrider Foundation, but also a county resident today. I'm here to speak as a county resident mainly. I don't think there's much I can say that Mayor Aguirre or Councilmember Fisher or Imperial Beach residents or Coronado residents haven't already said or are going to say to ask for your support on this item. I used to live in Ocean Beach, now I live in South Oceanside, but I'm here just to show solidarity as a beach-loving person, as someone who's dedicated my life to clean water and healthy beaches. If the beaches where I lived were closed every day, if me and my friends and my family were basically had to choose between their health and a day at the beach, I would hope that the county would declare a local state of emergency. So I'm here to ask for your support on this request, to thank Chair Vargas and Vice Chair Lawson-Remer for bringing this forward. I think it's really important that the entire county shows unity on this item and really just throws their hat in that ring. I mean, the hat's already in the ring, but really echo the sentiments and the letter brought forward by Mayor Aguirre and signed by every other county mayor to ask for a federal state of emergency. So definitely asking for your unanimous support for a local state of emergency, request for the governor to declare a state of emergency, and request for the governor to request a federal state of emergency as well. It doesn't cost us anything to do that. It shows solidarity, it shows unity, it shows that we're all in this together, that, you know, a closed beach anywhere or even a closed county park, because the Tijuana River Valley Regional Park is also becoming an environmental sacrifice zone, just like the nearby coastal waters. So yeah, if we can all do this, that'd be great. It could open up additional federal funding that is very much needed to solve this problem. Thank you.
As the next speaker is coming forward, I'd like to invite the speakers in opposition of this item, Mark, Alan C., Michael Brando, and Truth.
Hello, good morning, supervisors. My name is Ashley Hedrick, and I am an ocean lifeguard for the city of Imperial Beach. I'm a proud member of SCIU 221 as well. The toxic waste that bleeds into our beaches from the Tijuana River directly impacts our workers' health and safety. Even when the water is deemed unsafe for the public, lifeguards must still perform rescues and dives. We risk our health and well-being to keep the public safe, and we have to go into this toxic environment to help save lives while risking hepatitis, staph infection, MRSA, cellulitis, gastrointestinal problems, amongst other things, and even up to death. This has impacted our staffing levels as well as our junior lifeguard program and impacting the future generations of watermen and women. For decades, this problem has persisted. Every day that passes is another 35 million gallons of waste that enters the California waters. We've been closed every day this year. 4th of July is just around the corner. We're gonna have several people at our beaches that are gonna get in the water regardless of the contamination, and we're gonna have to do our duty to act to make sure that everybody goes home safe while risking our health and well-being every single day on the front line of this pollution crisis. I thank the board and hope that we can declare this as a state of emergency for the cross-border sewage crisis in order to protect the health and safety of not only the public, but for the dedicated workers in the workforce. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Let me make sure the slide goes up before I start speaking. Can you get rid of that gray box? Can you get rid of that gray box?
It goes away in just a second.
Thank you. Yeah, my name's Alan C. Thank you to that lifeguard. She pointed out, I lived in Imperial Beach for 10 years back in the 80s. Back then, we could use the beach. You want to give this proclamation real teeth? Thank you, Tara, for pointing out that other sewage plant that actually is not functioning is actually just discharging raw sewage. You want to really give your proclamation real teeth? Read that top line. Border sewage, for every day their San Diego beaches are closed, shut border commerce on the same exact days. You will get action. You will get results. Will you take that bold step and do it? That is how you're going to solve it. Because it's not only the Tijuana River. If you set up this holding pond and expand it, what about the bird habitat in that Imperial Beach where you just put a holding pond there? Fix it at its source. All the sewage outlets all the way up the northern coast of Tijuana and the other, you can see them right there. Put pressure on them and say, yeah, you don't fix it, I'm going to close you to commerce. Next slide, please. This is off the sand act from last week. If you open up that border, which we spent billions of dollars on to help Mexico commerce, and yet you're only showing what we're going to gain on our side, 32 billion and up to 42 billion of economic growth on our side. How much economic growth is Mexico getting when we open that new border crossing? Can you imagine? Can you just imagine if you say, you know what? Imperial Beach's been shut down for 100-some days. That's 100 days you guys lose billions of dollars a day. By doing that, you put pressure, and I guarantee your heads will fly, and you will have action done immediately. Will you be bold enough to take that action? Will we stop wasting their money on more border crossings, actually put pressure on Mexico by cutting off their economic supply? Cut off that NAFTA train that goes by my home at 2 o'clock every morning. Could you imagine shutting off their commerce? You'll get action immediately and cut out these decades of use. I yield back.
Next speaker, please.
Mark, of course cleaning up the ocean is important, but the devil's in the details. And remember what happened the last time you declared an emergency, a disaster that destroyed 40% of the economy. While restoring the quality of ocean water at our border may require federal funding, see this site online to examine the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, and the unconstitutional powers they have illegally been granted through executive orders. Considering Chair Nora Vargas's support of United Nations Agenda 21 against the will of the people of San Diego County and of Southern California through SANDAG, as they pervert our Constitution to give themselves powers constitutionally reserved for the people and Congress, I suspect an emergency declaration as an excuse to implement greater totalitarian control over the people's water resources, with treasonous support for SANDAG's Southern California Tijuana mega region governance. Their global agenda disqualifies Nora Vargas and Tara Lawson-Remer from holding any position in our government, and both Jim Desmond and Joel Anderson have ignored their duty to have them removed from SANDAG and the San Diego Supervisors. A lot of your agenda, every agenda item ends with fiscal impact and the alignment with the city's plan, which is based on climate change. While climate change exists, it is not mostly caused by oil. It's caused by the solar radiation from the sun. People need to see. Oh, by the way, we have a lot of members of the World Economic Forum, which is completely against our American sovereignty. And in the first minute and a half of this YouTube video, you can see Klaus Schwab saying he's invading governments. Here's some videos on the climate by real experts like Meteorologist of the Year You guys need to see these videos.
Next speaker, please.
Hey, it's truth, demolisher of both molehills and mountains, as well as fraudulent emergencies. So, wow, how many states of emergency are we in now? And what is a sewage crisis? Isn't that the same thing as the City of San Diego's Pure Water program? And is that worse than the COVID crisis? Or is it all just a side effect of the mental and behavioral health crisis these supervisors have exhibited? Here's an example of crazy, flawed thinking. Quote, even with the funding from the U.S. side and $140 million invested by Mexico, it will still not be enough. It will take hundreds of millions of dollars more, end quote. I know that the City of San Diego also gets $1 million from the U.S. International Boundary and Water Commission to allow the federal government to monitor water quality by satellite. A lot of good that's done. What's the exact plan really? And is there an exact amount of money required? Because it's been countless millions and endless decades and nothing's changed year after year. Imperial Beach's waters remain polluted. Maybe instead of giving money to politicians, let's just start paying both regular Americans and even Mexicans to clean our borders. You know, we'd still have money left over compared to putting it in the hands of American politicians and their friends who have a proven track record of filling their pockets and increasing their powers by declaring fraudulent emergencies. You know, I like Paloma and Jack, but I think they're being deceived into thinking this will solve anything when it unfortunately won't. My solution: let's take those millions to install a giant water purifier in the ocean along the border. That's our best bet at this point, because throwing federal debt dollars at problems has a proven track record of not working. It's fraud, just like this emergency. And that's why I have to be in opposition. And I like Imperial Beach and the waters need to be open, but it's not going to happen with emergencies, just control. Thanks.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Michael, this is one of those items where I wish there was a yellow slip, because obviously there's something that needs to be done, so I'm not actually against some effort to do something. But my comments, and please don't interrupt me because this has to do with this issue, is how this item is phrased with the language that's being used. Yeah, the ocean needs to be cleaned up and all of that needs to be taken care of, but the equity impact statement on this item is again using words like environmental injustices. And it's interesting to me that an item like this can show up with that phraseology, but there's other environmental issues that aren't even being addressed. You know, we talk about the water, and I've mentioned this before. What about the air, the geoengineering that's going on? Geoengineering, that's unsafe for all of us. This item also talks about data collection, and from what I've seen in this boardroom, that's not the sole issue. There has to be an interpretation of data, and oftentimes what I've seen here is data-driven deception, as Truth often says. The business impact statement, this is something that needs to be eliminated on items like this too. It says that we're concerned about decreased visitors and street traffic. Well, that obviously wasn't the case during the counterfeit pandemic. No one cared about that. So sentences like this need not to be included in these items. Thank you.
Thank you. A final call for Adam Raitt. We'll now hear from those that requested to speak by phone. When it is your turn to speak, you'll be unmuted and you'll hear, oh.
Hello, my name is Leon Benham. I'm the president of the only environmental group that's based in...
interrupt you. I don't have a speaker slip for you.
I submitted it.
I have a final speaker slip that I have for Adam Raitt.
I
Feel free to
filled
send
it
your
out.
comments.
I filled it out and I followed the instructions.
I don't have a speaker set for you, sir.
Sorry. Well, I just don't want to do that because if I don't follow the process with one person, then we don't follow the
Well,
process with
is
everybody
this,
else. You
I
didn't
mean,
turn it in?
no, I offered it to her, but maybe in the handoff, she didn't get it. Is this the speaker slip you're
That
looking
is a
for?
speaker slip. Speaker slips are required to be given in before we begin public comment.
Well, I filled it out and brought it back, but she told me to bring it up when I came to speak. So
That would likely be for your handouts, but your speaker slip needs to be in before we begin public comment.
Okay, so you misunderstood what she said because she's done this many, many times. So just, there's a
Perhaps,
process.
yeah.
And so I'm going to go ahead and let you speak, but please make sure that that doesn't happen again because we have to follow a process in order to make sure that everybody has their time.
I
So if
agree.
you can go
Thank
ahead
you.
and
Okay.
quickly speak. Go ahead and start because we're.
Oh, okay. My name is Leon Benham. I'm the president of the only environmental 501c3 located in Imperial Beach. I've been a long-time resident. And I'm in opposition to this emergency declaration, not for that we need more money, we do. But the basis of this declaration is, as I read it, is the USMCA agreement and its comprehensive plan. The problem with this UMCA agreement is that it will bring, if completed, 300% more sewage offshore Imperial Beach. Because this plant, the IBWC plant, most people do not realize that since December, for the last 7 months, it is our plant in the U.S. has been just dumping sewage into the ocean, and the engineering reason why is because it can't accept different amounts of flow. It's called, so basically it works on a constant volume of 25 million. If you go up to 26 million, it must dump because the biodigesters and the systems can't work. The UMCA agreement and the plan does not incorporate what all over the country, which they have flow equalization basins, basically by building what the citizens of Imperial Beach proposed 4 years ago, was creating 300 million gallon flow equalization basins, which allow the plant to draw off the sewage, and it allows the plant to work efficiently at the highest rate, which is secondary treatment, and it's what the law of the land is. But even this plan does not incorporate that technology, and I'm against.
Thank you. Now we'll hear from those that requested to speak by phone. When it is your turn to speak, you'll be unmuted and you'll hear a recording that will tell you to begin your comments after the beep. I'll remind the callers they should mute their TV or live video stream before they begin speaking. We'll start with our first caller.
Hi, my name is Yehuda Benhamo. I'm representing Wild Coast, an international conservation team working in both the U.S. and Mexico. We are respectfully asking the San Diego County Board of Supervisors to vote in favor of proclaiming a local emergency for the transboundary pollution crisis and the request for a federal state of emergency. This is a very, very important issue dealing with a tsunami of transboundary sewage, trash, and toxic waste that is severely impacting important coastal and marine ecosystems and wildlife and threatening the health of our communities. This environmental crisis has forced foreclosure in over 12 miles of beaches in San Diego County this year, including 3 miles of the shoreline in Imperial Beach closed indefinitely, as well as 2 parks and 2 city beaches. It's impacting the ability of our Navy SEALs to train in their largest training facility, threatening our national security. It's affecting the health of Border Patrol agents and putting communities at risk on both sides of the U.S.-Mexico border, not to mention the devastating toll on local businesses and the livelihoods of your constituents. As a lifelong surfer that has dealt with many trips to the emergency room from waterborne illnesses and even witnessed a fellow surfer from Coronado get diagnosed with meningitis from polluted water, I also represent hundreds of thousands of ocean enthusiasts in the county that want a cleaner future to enjoy. We can only do this with your help. Together, we collectively urge the board to vote yes on declaring this as a local and federal state of emergency to help put pressure on the Mexican government to fix the problem at the source as well. Thank you for your for your support and allowing us for the opportunity to speak.
Now hear from the next caller.
Hello, my name is Sonia Diaz, and I'm speaking on behalf of Outdoor Outreach. I would like to thank Chairwoman Nora Vargas and Vice Chair Lawson Reamer for bringing forward this proposed board letter to formally declare a local state of emergency due to the Tijuana River Valley pollution crisis. Our organization connects youth, many of whom reside in South Bay communities, to outdoor experiences like surfing, kayaking, stand-up paddleboarding, and other outdoor activities throughout San Diego County. And we do a lot of our programs at Imperial Beach and Silver Strand State Beach. We provide everything free of cost. And for many, it's their first time experiencing these activities at the beach and building confidence in the water. Unfortunately, we've had to pivot or completely cancel about 60 of our outings since last year due to the transborder pollution problem. And due to other certain permit barriers, we don't have many options to pivot our programs to other county areas. This is about prioritizing equity. For decades, the people of South County have been disproportionately impacted by pollution and have fewer opportunities to enjoy nature where they live. This is why I urge your support for the declaration of a countywide, statewide emergency. It will bring attention to the critical funding to finally address this issue so that everyone can benefit from a clean and healthy ocean for all to enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the next caller.
Good morning, Supervisors. My name is Sarah Davidson, and I manage the Clean Border Water Now program at the Surfrider Foundation based in San Diego. I'm speaking to you today on behalf of our more than 3,800 members throughout San Diego County. Thank you, Chair Vargas and Vice Chair Lawson Reamer, for bringing this proclamation forward to address the billions of gallons of toxic pollution that flow across the U.S.-Mexico border, forcing beach closures throughout South San Diego County and widespread illnesses on both sides of the border every year. The toxic flows also impair habitat and open space, harm marine species, impact border security, and have detrimental effects on local economies and livelihoods. Border communities have been plagued by this grave problem for decades, and it's only getting worse as the impacts from climate change and population growth increase in the region. Ambitious solutions are not only necessary to address toxic cross-border flows, but the only remaining responsible course of action. We were encouraged to see the EPA and IBWC select the more comprehensive option to address this public health crisis, but we know that without further immediate intervention, it will take several more years to raise the funds necessary to complete this project. In that time, how many more billions of gallons of toxic waste will flow into our county? How many more people will get sick? How much more damage to our local economies and livelihoods will your constituents endure? The residents of San Diego County have been calling for stronger actions on this problem for decades. The mayors of San Diego County have spoken in unison, calling for a federal state of emergency. Now it's your turn to step up, call this the emergency that it is within your jurisdiction, and add your voices to demand a federal emergency declaration. The members of Surfrider San Diego and I urge you to approve this motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Now hear from the next caller.
Good morning. This is Philip Musigas. I'm the Executive Director and the Waterkeeper at San Diego Coastkeeper. I just want to thank Chairwoman Vargas and Councilwoman Tara Lawson-Reamer for putting this declaration forward. I think I would echo everything that the other supporters have said and support their comments. This is, at this point, it's an environmental crisis. It's a public health and economic crisis for the communities that are impacted by these closures. And perhaps most of all, it is an environmental justice and equity crisis that we have to address. The fact that we have the technology to fix this, but we don't seem to have the political support at the federal level, and we don't seem to have the funding we have to put more pressure on the federal government and state government to find the funding to address this problem. And so I would just echo what I think one of the other speakers just said a minute ago. This is about prioritizing equity. It's obviously about cleaning up our, reducing sewage pollution along our coast, but the equitable and the injustice aspect of where this pollution affects beach closures and who is affected is a disgrace to us, honestly. We have to figure out how to address this. Coastkeeper urges the council to pass this motion and support this declaration. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now hear from the next caller.
Hello, Chair Vargas, Vice Chair Lawson Reamer, and Supervisors. My name is Aurora Livingston, District Representative for State Senator Catherine Blakespear in District 38. Thank you, Chair Vargas, for your leadership on this issue and for elevating the need for this proclamation. This is a critical issue of regional and international significance, and it's imperative that all levels of government work expeditiously to address the cross-border pollution issue. On behalf of Senator Blakespear, we support this item and look forward to working together to address this issue quickly. Thank you.
Thank you. Now hear from the next caller.
Passing out emergencies all around. You got an emergency, you got one, you got one, you got one. Now we got money, we got money, we got money. Don't get me wrong. Water that is clean is very important, but this is not about environmental injustice. This is about the government injustice and the fact that nobody's willing to admit where this issue is coming from and what the real problem is. And that's why Mark is so right saying there's devil in the details, because we know where it's coming from. And no matter how much money that you spend to throw out to clean it up, if it keeps coming down the stream, it's going to continue. You have to go to the root of the problem, which is Mexico. I mean, granted, we do also put waste in the water as well, but you're not even going to them and telling them, and what Alan said is true, you should shut down that border, because I guarantee you they'd switch that crap up right away. And they wouldn't allow that to happen because they are set out to make sure that you guys do business with all of this new projects that are going cross-border. And if they're the ones doing this to us, why are we putting in $300 million and they're doing 140? So it's like we're basically paying to fix their problem that they're putting upon us. And you guys don't want to acknowledge that, because then you wouldn't be able to do business with them. Well, you need to either stop doing business with them until this is fixed, because there's no reason we should be, providing them with all of these things when they're providing us with shit down the pipe. And you guys are giving people sewer water as well. So it's rather weird that you care about this, but of course you get an emergency money when you do that. And that's why you want everyone to declare it an emergency. And if people really got down to the issue of it, the problem would stop. And it's not going to be the money that you get for it. It's actually Mexico and their lack of ability or willingness to quit putting the sewer in the ocean that floats up to our way. So you're doing all those people a disservice by being like...
Thank you. Now hear from the next caller. For the record, that caller was Audra.
My name is Stephanie Bauer, and I want to say good morning, Chairwoman Vargas and Supervisors. I'm with the Port of San Diego, and I'm calling in support on item 16, which would proclaim a local emergency for U.S.-Mexico transboundary pollution environmental crisis and request for federal state of emergency. The Port of San Diego is a trustee of state tidelands and is committed to protecting natural resources and addressing impacts to state lands and our member cities that are on the front lines of this environmental crisis. The Port is a proud partner with the county on tackling this issue and the continued push for funding and support. And we appreciate your leadership in bringing this forward on behalf of the greater San Diego region. Thank you, and that's the end of my comments.
Thank you. Now hear from the final caller.
Good
morning, everyone. My name is Jimena Villaseñor, calling on behalf of the San Diego Regional Chamber of Commerce, which represents a variety of industries and thousands of small, medium, and large employers in our San Diego, Baja California region. I am calling to express our appreciation to Chairwoman Nora Vargas and Vice Chair Tara Lawson-Remer on introducing this board letter that would proclaim the ongoing influx of sewage, industrial charges, and trash from the Tijuana River as a county-wide state of emergency. The crisis from the Tijuana River Valley has been a problem for decades, and now the problem is seemingly becoming more severe, with nearly 30% of the San Diego coastline closed for over 500 days, as mentioned. And this has not only been an economic inhibitor, but most importantly, a public health issue through our region's air and water. And we are confident that declaring a state of emergency over this worsening problem will help to fast-track more spending and secure additional funding aside from the $300 million worth of federal funds. We urge you to support this declaration, and I'm also calling to express the private sector's commitment to put a solution to this issue and partner with the county to make our region the best place to live and work. Thank you.
Thank you. And Chairwoman Vargas, that concludes public comment on this item.
Thank you. Seeing no other comments, we have a motion and a second. Please vote.
Chairwoman Vargas, that motion passes unanimously with all supervisors being present and voting aye.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. The next item on our agenda is item number 17 and 18, right? So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to our clerk for comments.
Thank you, Chairwoman Vargas and members of the board. Your items for discussion this morning are items 17 and 18 on the Board of Supervisors agenda, item 1 on the agendas of the Fire Protection District, the Flood Control District, the In-Home Supportive Services Public Authority, the Redevelopment Successor Agency, and the Sanitation District for your deliberation and adoption of the operational plan. These items will be heard concurrently and acted on with one motion should you desire to do so. On May 4th, 2023, the Chief Administrative Officer's recommended operational plan for fiscal years 2023 through 25 was released. Budget hearings began on Monday, June 12th, 2023, with members of the public being given the opportunity to provide oral and written testimony. Budget hearings concluded on June 21st at 5 p.m. For the record, we received 235 total e-comments, 128 in favor, 67 in opposition, and 22 neutral for the recommended operational plan. Today's actions request the board consider the change letters and ultimately approve the resolutions adopting the budget for the County of San Diego, county service areas, community facilities districts, certain maintenance districts, and permanent road divisions, the Fire Protection District, Flood Control District, the In-Home Supportive Services Public Authority, the Redevelopment Successor Agency, and the Sanitation District. With that, I'll turn it over to our Chief Administrative Officer, Helen Robbins-Meyer.
Thanks, Andrew. Chairwoman Vargas and members of the board, today's a big day for all of us. You can see staff out here. This is the day that we all work all year long towards. So hopefully it's going to end really well. I think we have a great budget to present to you today. As you know, this change letter that Ebony's going to go over in just a minute with some level of detail represents the final budget changes as a result of everything we heard and read in the comments that were either made verbally or submitted in writing to us. So we have this opportunity to present that to you. But before Ebony does that, I want to reassure you that this operational plan is shaped by your board's priorities, and it's centered on what we think matters most to the community and the values that you have put forward as the new board took office a couple years ago, and the strategic framework that you all have adopted. Does it capture everything that everyone has asked for? Absolutely not. There's no way we could possibly do that. But it continues to build on our values, those of integrity, equity, excellence, access, sustainability, and belonging. Is it balanced? Yes, absolutely, it is balanced. But more importantly, it balances the needs facing our region with the uncertainty of economic conditions that we all are facing. So here to discuss the details of the proposed budget changes since we released the recommended budget is our Chief Financial Officer, Ebony Shelton, and then I'll give a couple of closing remarks. Ebony, take it away.
Thank you, Helen. Chairwoman Vargas and members of the board, I'm really thankful to be here today with my colleagues, the general managers, as well as county staff to present to you Thank you. We're really happy to be here to present to you, as well as to the community, the CAO's change letter, as well as the change letters that we received from your board, and the final recommended budget for your deliberations and actions today. So I'll start out by briefly summarizing for you the changes that have been incorporated into the budget for your consideration and walk you through the recommendations before your board. And as always, we'll be available to answer any questions that you may have following the presentation. So let's start out by talking about what's changed in the budget. This slide includes a summary of the changes that are before your board today. Starting with the original CAO's recommended budget of $8.1 billion and just over 20,300 FTEs, which was released in early May. Through the CAO's change letter, we're recommending adding roughly $60 million and 50 staff to this year's operational plan for a total revised recommended budget of just under $8.2 billion and nearly 20,400 staff. Also for your consideration today is a member change letter, which proposes no new dollars or staffing to the budget, but recommends a one-time realignment of $5 million of appropriations that are supported by general purpose revenues. I'll summarize the board member change letter, but first I want to highlight the key investments that are being recommended in the CAO's change letter. Roughly 2/3 of the CAO change letter is to invest in our workforce and our employee satisfaction to reflect the successful negotiation of select new public safety labor contracts and associated transfers of funding from the Proposition 172 Special Revenue Fund, along with 3 staff advancing prevention, diversion, and reentry work, resources to hire a medical director within the probation department, to manage care and counseling, and 1 additional staff requested by the City of Vista, which is supported by program revenue. The next largest adjustment is also supported by program revenue, and it includes resources to support an upgrade to the regional communication system and to identify alternatives to incarceration to provide care coordination and housing for high-need, justice-involved populations, assisted through a pilot program, and to support the Transitions Clinic Network pilot, including 5 staff in the Sheriff's Detention Services Bureau, to provide connections for individuals who are in custody. The CAO change letter also reflects the redirection of $4.7 million in general purpose revenue to support the Barriers to Housing initiative. This capacity is being created through the redirecting of $1 million of growth from the Community Enhancement Grant Program, a $1 million decrease in the Respite Voucher Program, which is a discretionary program providing respite care for caregivers of individuals with Alzheimer's and related diseases, including dementia, use of alternative funding to support facility maintenance, and through the implementation of efficiencies in normal attritions in multiple departments. This redirected general purpose revenue, along with $3.1 million in program revenues, will ensure that the county remains a pro-housing jurisdiction and to continue to address the regional housing crisis, with 39 new staff, primarily to support guaranteed review times, to implement process improvements, and policy and ordinance changes. There are several other priorities that are also included within this change letter, which include the following. In the Board of Supervisors, we're rebudgeting the remaining District 4 unspent community enhancement and neighborhood reinvestment program funds and aligning costs within the registrar of voters to conduct a special election to fill the vacancy in District 4. In the Health and Human Services Agency, we're receiving a grant to support the implementation of CalAIM, Enhanced Care Management and Community Supports, working on a residential treatment facility homeless feasibility study, and leveraging existing appropriations to support a family reunification pilot program for people experiencing homelessness in the East region. In the Land Use and Environment Group, we're focused on roads, including the design for the improvements at the Riverford Road and State Route 67 in Lakeside, and the design and upgrade of guardrails at various locations throughout the unincorporated area. And in public safety, there are additional justice assistance grant funds being appropriated for the legal defense of indigent individuals, Board of State and Community Corrections grant funds to procure 2 mobile probation service centers, and for costs associated with ending girls in incarceration. In the capital program, there's no overall change to appropriations, but today's recommendations do include a request for current year action to establish appropriations for a new capital project known as the Butterfield Ranch acquisition. And this will be done by transferring funds from a related project within the community, as well as bringing on parkland dedicated ordinance funds, leveraging community donations, and District 5 resources. And in Finance Other, we're recommending leveraging $1 million of existing appropriations to address pool safety and equitable access in communities. As we take a step back to look at the entire revised budget, we see it's now increasing by $806 million, or 11%, when compared to the current budget. These amounts are prioritizing investments in mental health, homelessness and housing, our safety net, and capital investments. If we can go to the next slide, please. I'm sorry, I skipped this slide, excuse me. Let me go back and talk about the member change letter, which is on slide 4. This is a high-level summary of the components of the financial change letter, which was docketed by our chairwoman, Vargas, as well as our vice chair, Lawson Reamer. This is a one-time $5 million reduction in general purpose revenue in fiscal year 23-24 only. So I'll say that again, it's a one-time reduction in 23-24 only in the public defender for the Immigrant Rights Legal Defense Program. The general purpose revenue that would be redirected as follows. $2 million would be redirected to expand the pilot shallow rent subsidy program. $500,000 would be redirected to the homeless diversion program. $500,000 for law enforcement activities to respond to the fentanyl crisis, and $2 million would be held in Finance Other to support the Immigrant Rights Legal Defense Program if those funds should be needed throughout the year. Again, with this particular member change letter, there's no net impact to the overall budget since this is just a one-time distribution of funds. So again, here, this is the view of the overall budget. And again, as I mentioned, the total budget is increasing by now, with these changes, $806 million, or 11%. And we're optimistic that the contents of this revised budget reflect your board's as well as the community's priorities. Looking at that same picture from a staffing perspective, the overall staffing increase is 539 FTEs, or 2.7% from the current budget, which includes 50 FTEs that were included in the CAO's change letter. And again, the majority of those changes are associated with the removing barriers to housing initiative, which is 39 FTEs that are proposed to be added in planning and development services, public works, environmental health and quality, as well as purchasing and contracting, and the Office of Economic Development and Governmental Affairs. Another area that we're seeing an increase in, included in that 50, are 3 FTEs in justice system prevention, diversion and reentry in the public safety group, and 5 FTEs for alternatives to incarceration in the Sheriff's Department. And as I mentioned, probation is also adding a medical director to oversee the medical care of youth and adult clients, and County Council will be adding a staff person to be dedicated to the probation department. And finally, the additional FTE being added to the Sheriff's Department to support the city of Vista. So to summarize the recommendations and what we're asking for from the board today, first we're requesting that your board approve the CAO change letter, followed by the consideration of the board member change letter as docketed by Chairwoman Vargas and our Vice Chair Lawson Reamer. And following that action is approval of the resolutions to adopt the budget for the county and all special districts for the next fiscal year. This year's budget adoption also includes a request to waive Board Policy B72, which will allow us to rebudget the unspent District 4 NRP funds next year. And then we asked to authorize county staff to carry forward appropriations in accordance with the County Budget Act and to adopt a reimbursement resolution which will allow the county to reimburse itself for with bond proceeds for any eligible costs that we may incur prior to issuing debt associated with the public health lab and parking structure, the County Operations Center relocation project, as well as the County Administration Center major system renovation project, all projects that we're planning to go to market for. And finally, to make current year adjustments to establish the Butterfield Ranch acquisition capital project. This concludes my presentation. Chairwoman Vargas, thank you. Helen, back to you.
Thanks, Ebony. Great job. Board members, as your CAO, I want to reassure you that this budget is fiscally prudent. I know that's the #1 question we get, and I want to tell you absolutely. I am not recommending expenditures without appropriate ongoing revenue, and I'm not jeopardizing the fiscal health of our county. And if I may borrow your phrase, Chairwoman Vargas, not on my watch. But as you know, next year I will not be here. I'm your interim CAO right now. So I want to make one caveat to this budget. Budget is fabulous. I hope you're going to pass it. But I do want to say that we are pushing up against our fiscal limits. You know that. We've talked about that numerous times. So unless our economic conditions change dramatically in the next 12 months, I just want to make sure that all of our partners out there understand that we have to dampen our expectations next year going forward. So hopefully that won't happen. Hopefully the economy is going to be strong and turn around, and we're going to be able to continue to grow. But if not, we're going to have to limit the growth. We're not in any financial jeopardy. I don't want to make anybody to think that. We are absolutely strong, fiscally sound, ready to face next year, no problem. But we are getting up to that wall. So we do have to have that caveat. I feel very compelled to make that statement. No budget is easy to put together, and this one had its own challenges for various reasons. But every year, without fail, this county team, all of you in the audience, my amazing executive team, we all come together and we stand up to those challenges, and we put together a great document that we can all be proud to put our names on. This year is no exception to that. So I want to give a big thank you to all the county staff, those that are out there on the front line every day doing the hard work. You guys really serve with passion and commitment, and you're the unsung heroes because you make all of this magic sauce work in terms of delivering on our budget that we put together. So big thank you to the employees. And a big thank you to all of our department heads and the GMs. We couldn't do it without your leadership. To Ebony, our amazing CFO, best in the nation, I stand by that always. And to Damian Quinn, I don't know if Damian's here, but if he is, please, he's probably out crunching. There he is. He's so shy. That guy is amazing, our budget director and his wonderful staff and all of our group finance directors. You guys carry a tremendous load and always deliver. So special shout out to you all. I also need to express my deep gratitude to our other elected officials that are here in the audience today. Our District Attorney, Summer Steffen, our Sheriff, Kelly Martinez. I know I saw Dan McAllister earlier. He probably stepped out. I don't see him. And then Jordan, I saw him earlier, but again, he's probably stepped out. You guys are independently elected. You don't have to take my phone calls. You don't have to play in the sandbox that I try to direct, but you always do. And I couldn't ask for better partners. And I am so grateful to each of you for your commitment to the county and to the larger county, not just your own departments and your own elected constituents that you have to serve as well. Thank you. And last but certainly not least, Chairwoman Vargas, I want to thank you and the other board members. This has been a challenging year for us, honestly, and your diligence, your hard work, you poured over this document more than any other board in the past that I've had in 25 plus years. I think you've looked at every single graph and every single thing that we wrote down, and you asked us really, really hard questions. And we appreciate that. And And it shows. And I think with your collaborative nature and your active engagement, we've been able to put the best budget forward for our constituents. So I just want to thank you all for your support and your efforts. With that, subject to your questions, that ends our presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm going to go ahead and open it up for public comment, and then we'll come back to my colleague.
Thank you, Chairwoman Vargas. We have 8 requests to speak on this item, 5 in person and 3 requesting to speak by phone. Any members of the public that requested to speak on items 17, 18, and the special district items, please dial into the conference line now using the instructions that were provided to you. We'll begin with the in-person speakers, starting with the individual in favor of the items, followed by those in opposition. As your name is called, please come forward and stand against the east wall under the murals until it is your turn to speak. You'll have 2 minutes to address the board. I'd like to invite forward Chelsea Wolchak-Burks. You followed by Alan C., Mark, Michael Brando, and Truth. I'll ask you to please state your name for the audio record.
Absolutely. Good morning, Chair Vargas, members of the board, and the staff. My name is Chelsea Wolchak-Burks. Incredibly close on the pronunciation. Congratulations. I'm with the American Heart Association, and I live in District 1. Several years ago, our team reached out to Mas Fresco in recognition of the amazing work that they were doing in the community around nutrition security. We asked the county for funding to expand upon their program, and because of this board's leadership and commitment to health, the Mas Fresco Plus Produce Prescription Program was launched. Now, hundreds upon hundreds of San Diego County families are able to put fresh fruits and vegetables on the table, and local farmers and growers are seeing direct benefits from the increased sales. But soaring inflation and drastic cuts in CalFresh benefits have worsened hunger here in San Diego County. The program has a huge, huge wait list, and quite honestly, the program needs more funding. Because of the demonstrated success of this program, a number of community-based organizations, small businesses, community clinics, local doctors, and most importantly, residents have rallied and joined our coalition in asking the board to invest in long-term for this locally driven solution. So we sincerely thank the board for your consideration, and we really look forward to our continued partnership around Mas Fresco Plus. Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Alan C. Yeah, I'm looking over this budget, and one thing that really caught my eye, well, I guess I'll get this out of the way first, is the one concern roads. Wow. Since 1987, we've been trying to get 67 expanded. But my question is, will 67 be expanded to regular lanes, or will it be bus lanes? Or will it be carpool lanes where select few will be able to use it? Take that into consideration. We've been wanting to expand the freeway since 1987. Doesn't expire to 2044 for a transit tax. I'm looking at a lot of this budget. The most basic function of government is protect life and property. Yet I see all these other areas you're looking into that doesn't do that. Next slide, please. One thing that really caught my eye was the fentanyl crisis, only 0.5 million, yet the lawyers are getting 7 million to protect people not of citizens of the United States. Nothing against immigrants, but right now the #1 crisis we have is the homeless tents, 3,000 homeless tents right outside your door. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Do you want to really solve that, district attorney? You want to solve the fentanyl crisis? Challenge our governor, make fentanyl illegal substance issued out in the hospitals. Right now, opioids is legal medication in our hospitals. Do you want to solve fentanyl crisis? Outlaw it in the state of California. That will go a long way to solve all them poor people living in them tents outside. Our basic function of government, protect life and property. How can you do that when we let that happen outside our doors? All them people out there. Next slide, please. And yet our largest budget is going to Health and Human Services, not solving the fentanyl crisis. I told you earlier, sir, as you retire, before you turn the keys over, how about let's make that business, let's put them out of business by helping these people. That's how we could really solve it. If we can actually do so well, we can resolve that.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Mark, every agenda item ends with a fiscal impact and also the county sustainability goal. CO2 in our atmosphere is 0.04%. At below 0.02%, plant life starts dying. Our sun has a pole shift every 11 years during the solar maximum. An extended solar minimum in the 1700s, around 1770, caused a mini ice age we are just now recovering from, which explains the very good 1.5% Fahrenheit warming. All scientists agree we are descending into a major ice age, so some warming is a very good thing. They had mentioned this to you, though, today, by the way, when they scared the hell out of you. CO2 did not cause this warming, as John Coleman and William Happier explain in these YouTube videos. These are the titles here. John Coleman received the Broadcast Meteorologist of the Year Award from the American Meteorological Society and founded the Weather Channel. He shows how our government is scamming us with climate change, which is an old Hegelian dialectic tactic. If you see this YouTube video, you will understand how they're giving power to unelected foreign councils. So you are totally unrepresented, as they did in Europe about 40 years ahead of the US. The European citizens are just now realizing this, as they have been screwed by their President Macron. He bombards them with tear gas and rubber bullets when they protest, and huge protests, whole cities, mini cities full. So this is showing you where this is all going. I don't have time here. This is Katie on BitChute.com talking about this. You can look up Oxfordshire, the traffic filters they're restricting your movement. This is totalitarian.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
You got 7 speeches. You guys want to give me a lot of time. All right, it's truth. So for the children of the sandbox, this is the correct phrase, Helen.
Absolutely not. Not under my fucking watch. No.
All right. The Helen's change letter. I have found a curious decrease of $1.8 million in the Board of Supervisors general offices related to board security services. Let me call that one out. That's because of Nathan's departure. That fool now has to pay for his own security while he's out enjoying the San Diego Fair. Certainly not in rehab, just like I said. And speaking of criminals, since Joel and every other supervisor voted in favor of taking away the public's right to see and speak to where how much of our money is being spent as part of the neighborhood reinvestment and community enhancement programs, then those programs need to be eliminated until real transparency is restored. So what difference does it make, Joel? Well, for you, none, because you believe this.
Supervisor, absolutely. I'm always eager to look for free money.
But for we the people, it's all the difference, as our money's not free. It's over $16.2 million. And even with the pathetic compromise plan of our money spent on all kinds of extremist organizations and your friends being visible once a measly month on some buried part of the county website, the public still will never see it as part of these board meetings. They'll have to dig for that info and then use their non-agenda time to address a month's worth of spending. But you better believe I will do just that, and I will call out every single criminal involved, since you've all chosen the path of most corruption and least transparency. All right, lastly, the salary for a county supervisor I found is over $208,000 a year. That's where our money's gone. But, you know, we should take Tara's advice.
I'm not going to be supportive of us just spending money willy-nilly, right? So we're going to have to figure out how to pay for this.
Oh, look at that. I got a couple of seconds. And with that, I'm going to say, Nora, are you sad because budget season is over? Well, I'm not. You know, I hate budgets. I'm glad it's done.
Next speaker, please.
Let me just let Mark know that that's his first warning. You're disrupting the meeting.
Michael, I was glad I got to sit through an entire day of budget hearings a while back. It was really interesting hearing how this organization is all put together. Helen, you may be wonderful with numbers, and that's a good talent to have. However, you're harping on equity, sustainability, and belonging as part of what matters to the community is a lie. And Ebony, community priorities. So much of this has nothing to do with what the community wants. Again, don't interrupt me, Nora, because this all ties together. I have an issue with this equity impact statement and the whole LGBTQIA+, as well as the other ones too. This board has really no business in any of this. I want to give an example. Let's say I have a wife, I have a female lover, and I have 2 male lovers, and that group is considered my family. My family. Is it your business to be involved in that and to help me having a sense of belonging? No, no. If you've ever seen the HBO series Big Love with Bill Paxton and Jean Triplehorn, it's a good example of how the government has no business in being involved in how other styles their lifestyle. What else? Back to the data-driven deception about analyzing things. This board acts like data just sits on its own, like there's data sitting there, but it never emphasizes the fact that how that data is interpreted, the quality of the consciousness of the person actually observing the data has a big impact on how things shape up. I really wish you all the best in this next year. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the individuals that requested to speak by phone. We'll start with our first caller.
Hello, my name is Travis Lyon. Thank you, Board of Supervisors, for allowing us this opportunity to speak on the budget hearing. I am the chair of the Alpine Community Planning Group. Also a school board member in Alpine. I'm just calling in support of the proposed budget, specifically related to the Alpine County Park and the Alpine Loop. Spoke before the board a number of times in the past, but I just want to reiterate the planning group's support for these projects and appreciate your guys' continued consideration. I know there's a lot of work that goes into capital improvement needs assessment, and I trust that you guys are very familiar with the report and the fact that Alpine's severely underserved regarding parkland. So just want to take this opportunity to thank the entire Parks Department for their help and work on this, and I appreciate your guys' continued support and including it in this year's upcoming budget. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Now hear from the next caller.
I found a penny on tails, and I'm just wondering which bucket to put it in. You guys let me know where you want the big bucks. But yeah, this is, you guys love your money. You're nearly $2 billion to push things that, like Michael said, the community doesn't want. You want to know why? Because you're pushing what the globalist agenda wants, right, to push us into the 15-minute cities. And it's all because you guys are engaging in perception management through mass hypnosis, so you disrupt people's ability to deal with reality because they're confused as a motherfucker as to what the hell is going on. And they think that they have to do all these things, and it's the only way to go. But all they have to do is read between the lines and listen to the details, because everything that you guys are doing is in line with the people that want to enslave us. And all while you say that you want the people to speak and the community to tell you what they want, how in the hell are they ever going to be able to do that if you don't give them a time a day to come in and tell you what they need in their community? Instead, you go take trips across the world to listen to these other people tell you what's best for our community. And so no matter how many billions of dollars that you get to say that you're going to make it better, all that's going to happen is going to get worse, just like proof is in the pudding. Because, hey, look how much money we throw at homelessness. Oh my gosh, it went up 22%. That is just fantastic, right? Because you're doing exactly what you need to be doing. You're very, 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 very good at listening to your handlers destroy everything, all while you're putting yourself into that 15-minute city too. And as soon as you close those doors, you're not going to be able to get out either. So turn away from your wicked freaking ways and all that you're doing and quit wasting the people's money pretending like you're doing what the community wants when all you're doing is listening to people that don't give a crap about you either. You think that they do. It's all this power trip. You think that you're so
Thank you. For the record, that speaker was Audra. And Chairwoman Vargas, that concludes public comment on this item.
Thank you. First and foremost, I want to thank Helen and Ebony and Damien and all of the county team for all of the work that they've done in crafting this very thorough budget for the fiscal year 23-2024. I want to thank also all of our electeds that are here today and for all of their thoroughness and really dedicating so much time to ensure that we prioritize our counties together. I also want to thank the public for engaging with us and sharing their feedback on this budget. It's our $8.16 billion county budget, and we've talked about this often, that it should be a reflection of our priorities and values. And I want to make sure that we continue to do this and we make sure that we stay aligned. I am grateful that we continue to use the equity tool and manage it in such a way that we are always thinking about community first. And that's why I think since its release, we've had very extensive process, and it's been mentioned by our clerk, but I just want to reemphasize that we hosted budget presentations, we conducted community meetings, we held 2 public hearings, and then we accepted e-comment submissions. And so that continues to be transparency, accountability, and community engagement continues to be a top priority for us. And as you can see, my colleague, Vice Chair Lawson-Remer, and myself introduced a change letter for a one-time allotment, and I want to emphasize that piece, that it's very important to me that we continue to, in the future, support the Immigrant Legal Defense Fund as a board. We all voted for that. But because we are in a situation where we're facing an opioid crisis and a homeless crisis, we felt it was prudent to redirect some of that funding as a one-time allocation to address some of these pressing challenges and place some of that funding under finance other to be used at a later date. We don't do any of this lightly, and it was important for us because from 2017 to 2021, our opioid deaths continue to increase, as well as our fentanyl deaths, and so this can't be our new normal. It's not, and it's tragic, and we need to address it with urgency. We also need to continue to address our unsheltered populations situation. The most recent point in time has revealed that there has been an increase individuals experiencing homelessness in the last year. And so one of the biggest challenges that many of our seniors are at a higher risk of falling into homelessness, and it's absolutely unacceptable. And so it's really, to me, a shame that our seniors can't afford to live in this county because of fixed incomes and inflation. And so we wanted to do everything that we can to make sure that we take care of us, and so that's why we're augmenting the shallow subsidy pilot program through one-time allocation. And so this $8.16 billion budget is very intentional on investing and addressing on the biggest priorities of our county to uplift communities in an equitable manner and prioritize economic prosperity. We are investing in creating a better quality of life for all by creating recreational spaces and preserving land to reduce our carbon footprint, by investing $7.5 million for the multi-species conservation program. We are allowing projects like the Butterfield Ranch acquisition in Valley Center. And as I mentioned in our State of the County earlier this year, I shared the county's commitment to focus on supporting our youth, seniors, small businesses, addressing homelessness and the opioid crisis, among other things. So this budget leads us to deliver on those commitments, and we're not done yet. Our budget is committed to making sure that $25 million is going to help us build more affordable housing through the Innovative Housing Trust Fund, and $5.8 million to homeless prevention for families experiencing homelessness. And I also want to say thank you to the CAO's change letter in allocating additional funds to support the removing barriers for the housing initiative. Mental health continues to be a top priority for the county, and as such, this budget includes an increase of $10.9 million for crisis diversion services to help expand our mobile crisis response team, the crisis line, as well as community engagement. As we committed, as this board committed to the residents of District 4, and it has been mentioned, but I want to make sure that I emphasize this, that on item number 7, we are remaining the balance budget from District 4 from the Neighborhood Grant 2 making sure that it's rebudgeted for the 23-2024 operational plan so that the next supervisor can work with community to make sure that those dollars are allocated as we had committed to their constituents of District 4. So there's been a lot of work done, and we can't do this alone, so we must continue to have partnerships with our cities, together advocate for continuous funding at the federal and state government, as we mentioned, for things like the Tijuana River Valley, infrastructure dollars, mental health, and our safety net programs. So this budget is not only maintaining critical services for our 3.3 million residents, but it also provides the necessary funding to support our 20,000 plus county employees who are the heart of this entity. We owe it to our residents to pass this historical budget today to ensure our communities continue to be served at the highest level. I want to thank my colleagues, the community, for coming together to do the hard work and creating a budget that reflects all of our communities. Now more than ever, we have to demonstrate that we have to do this work together, and we had to make sure that this budget was a fiscally prudent budget so that we can continue to move the county forward and that communities get the resources that they need to have the quality of life that they deserve. With that, I'd like to make a motion to approve the CAO's change letter, which is recommendation number 1, approve the change letter submitted by myself and Vice Chair Lawson Remer, which is recommendation number 2, and approve the remaining staff recommendations listed as recommendations 6 through 10 in item 17, recommendations 1, 2, and 6 in item 18, and all of the staff recommendations in the Fire Protection District, Flood Control District, In-Home Supportive Services, Public Authority, Redevelopment Successor Agency, and the Sanitation District agenda. We have a motion.
Happy to second that motion.
Thank you. And then we have comments from my colleagues. Supervisor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Appreciate it. And I also want to thank Helen and CEO and Ebony and the whole county team for all the work that's gone into this. I know it's been a lot of work, and it's a lot of needle threading and making sure that we balance this budget as best we can. And I really appreciate all the work and effort that went into it. We have a balanced budget. But we need to exercise caution, as Helen had pointed out, on funding, those things that we have the dollars for, but also the fact that the state is tens of billions of dollars in a deficit. So we got to watch out for potential cuts from the state and make sure we're able to keep our end up. We've increased programs and services. We've adopted fair contracts, I think, and for our hardworking staff. Having said that, I appreciate the strides that we've made to protect our communities by supporting law enforcement, public safety, and addressing the region's behavioral health needs, providing quality roads and infrastructure, and having a strong regional park system. One concern I want to raise, though, is I understand that the county, right now we're in the middle of a public outreach period for the harm reduction services plan that ends on July 10th, the outreach does. So I've heard from cities in my district, specifically Escondido, Oceanside, and Vista, about concerns of the county's plans for harm reduction services that within the budget. So these cities have expressed concerns with portions of the county's harm reduction approach. So I'd like to ask the CAO and the county staff, and as we've done with other things, to work collaboratively with the cities as we move forward with the budget program in a responsive way and to design the programs based on public input. As a former mayor, I'm a strong believer in local control, and first we work with the cities instead of just trying to put programs or services within the cities without their input. So having said that, I'm happy to support the budget and recommendations and all the hard work that has gone into it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Vice Chair Lawson Remer.
Yeah, thank you so much. I first just want to begin by thanking Ebony and her team. I think this budget represents a lot of really incredibly urgent priorities for our community, and there are so many needs, and there is so much that we have to be focused on, that we have to do. And I think your team has just done an incredible job of trying to figure out how to make sure that we can meet those needs in a very fiscally prudent way and in a way that's sustainable over time. I also want to thank Helen and your team, and thank you for, hope it's your last budget. Your last budget. But really, seriously, thank you. You should be very proud, Helen, of your last budget. This is just, I think you all have just done a really wonderful job. I want to highlight some of the key priorities I think this budget does manage to deliver on. really does a great job of centering our commitment around expanding access to housing affordability in our region. And that took a lot of, I think, creativity on the part of our finance team to meet that objective that's shared by the board, and I think we've done a wonderful job. This budget really focuses on our priority around homelessness and around tackling homelessness in a very sustained and focused way, and looking at all sorts of different kinds of investments we need to be making on this issue. This budget really shows our commitment to tackling the fentanyl and the opioid crisis, which continues to be a huge challenge in our region. This budget shows a commitment to the incredible work that was a collaborative work across our sheriff department and our public safety, across public safety and health and human services, including our DAs and our public defenders and our presiding judges, and all of our community partners, to really try to look at safety through services and begin making those investments. And this budget continues to invest in tackling pollution on our shoreline and in our communities, and really beginning to make a dent on some of these big issues we've already spent a lot of time talking about today, on preserving our coastlines and fighting to improve the health of our rivers and our oceans for our kids and for our communities. I could go on and on. I think there's other things that all of us have been fighting for our districts to make sure that there's services in here to meet our needs. And I also just want to uplift the comments of my colleague, Chairwoman Vargas, that the Immigrant Legal Defense Program is such a critically important commitment that we have to protect the constitutional rights of every person in our community, and that is remains one of my top priorities. I'm very glad that program is currently fully funded, and I will certainly be working to ensure that that's fully funded every year into the future. So thank you for that. But I just want to say again that there's just so many moving parts in putting together a budget like this, and it can be a little bit opaque. And I think our team has also done an excellent job of trying to improve transparency and improve community engagement and be really responsive to input and questions from community members who have really important ideas about making sure that the most imperative and pressing issues in our communities are tackled and are prioritized. So I also, lastly, just really want to thank all the members of our community, whether you're here today or have come over the last many, many months to share input and your thoughts. Thank you for your leadership and your vision about what it takes to make San Diego a place that's healthy and sustainable and advances shared opportunity and equity for all residents and all people. So thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Anderson?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to thank my colleagues, first of all, for putting our constituents first. This is really a pro people in need budget, and I just want to thank everybody for their commitment for working together. It's not an easy process, but we all got there. Second, Helen, thank you so much. You left us on a high note. Great job. And your team, Ebony and everyone else, you've all done such a wonderful job. It's not easy getting along with all of us when we're talking about money, but you seem to do it so well. So thank you for that, and thank you for figuring out ways that we can fund things that are important to our constituents. And of course, our fellow electeds, the sheriff, the DA, Board of Soups, excuse me, that's us, the assessor and tax collector. Thank you for all you do for our community as well. And I'm super excited to have $500,000 to fight opioids in my district, through all our districts. So with that, thank you all.
All right. Seeing no other comments, before you is a motion to pass this historic budget, and so please vote.
Chairwoman Vargas, that motion passes unanimously with all supervisors being present and voting aye.
Thank you again to all my colleagues and to all of their teams and all of the team efforts from our leadership and Helen for all of the great work that you did. I'm really proud that we get to deliver a budget that reflects the real priorities of all San Diegans. With that, there is, the next item is our board committee reports. Do we have, my colleagues have any reports? We did 17 and 18. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and we're now going to go ahead and move over to adjournments. Today, I'd like to adjourn in memory of Reva Michelle Baldwin, a storied employee who worked for the county for over 20 years, retiring in 2010. Reva was born in San Diego along with her 3 siblings, where she attended Knox Elementary School, Gompers Middle School, I want to be respectful. All right, I'm going to go start. So today I'd like to adjourn in memory of Reva Michelle Baldwin, a storied employee who worked for the county for over 20 years, retiring in 2010. Reva was born in San Diego along with her 3 siblings, where she attended Knox Elementary School, Gompers Middle School, and Abraham Lincoln High School. She excelled academically and was active in the Girls Athletic Association, Concert Choir, and the Young Women's Christian Association. She was a proud Lincoln Hornet and graduated in the class of 1967. After graduating from Lincoln High, she attended the University of California, San Diego, and graduated with honors, receiving a Bachelor's of Arts in Sociology. She started her first professional career at a computer science corporation before joining the County of San Diego in 1989 as a personnel officer. And through several promotions, Reva was eventually appointed to serve as a regional administrator for the Health and Human Service Agency. Aside of her incredible work with the county, she was a devoted mother to her only daughter, Nicole. She was active with the PTA and volunteered at various school events. After retirement, she devoted her time to her amazing grandchildren, Ellen and Terry. Whether it was reading books, riding bikes, playing games, cooking, shopping, and traveling, each moment with her loving family and friends brought her joy to her heart and a smile to others. Reva suffered from lupus for many years, but she never let it stop her. Her surviving family requests donations be made to the Lupus Foundation of Southern California. We want to thank Reva for her contributions and many years of service to the County of San Diego. We adjourn this meeting in her memory. Today, the second adjournment will be presented by Supervisor Joel Anderson in memory of Jack Gautier.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to adjourn today's meeting in memory of Jack Gautier, a man who was much loved and known for his dedication to serving his fellow veterans in our community. Jack served our country with distinction in the United States Navy during the Vietnam War, defending our nation, our home, our community. His service didn't end there. He is post commander of the Alpine VFW Post 9578. Jack consistently advocated for San Diego County's veterans and was a respected pillar in our East County community. Jack put his heart and soul into his role as post commander, leading many projects to improve the VFW post, such as full remodel of the post kitchen. Jack skillfully led the Alpine VFW post through the COVID-19 pandemic, ensuring the health, well-being, and safety of Post 9578 members during the largest public health crisis in recent history. Every year, Jack was presented annual awards for the Alpine Law Enforcement Officer of the Year, the Alpine Firefighter of the Year, showcasing his commitment to the community of Alpine. He's always made sure to put his fellow citizens first, speaking to selfless character and improving the lives of all Alpine residents. Jack will be deeply missed by family, friends, and colleagues he leaves behind, and his legacy in Alpine will continue to inspire future generations to follow in his footsteps and through selfless service to their community. I express my deepest sympathies at his passing and by his adjournment to memorialize him for his lifetime of contributions to his community of Alpine and the veterans of East County. Jack was a great friend to me, and I'll miss him dearly. Thank you.
Thank you. Clerk, we're going to go ahead and move on to non-agenda public comment. Can you please call the remainder of the public speakers?
Thank you, Chairwoman Vargas. We have 12 remaining requests to speak on matters not listed on the agenda, 1 in person and 11 requesting to speak by phone. For those that requested to speak by phone, please dial into the conference line now using the instructions that were provided to you. We'll hear from the in-person speaker. I'd like to invite forward Truth. You'll have 2 minutes to address the board.
Oh, wow. All right. Okay, this is Truth, the Equal Opportunity Offender. Tara, you are such a joker. I was laughing back there. You know, it's okay for you guys to admit you like my jacket. I painted it myself. Nora got a sneak preview last Friday at Sandag. But it's a work in progress. It's never going to be done. All right, since imitations are the most sincere form of flattery, I regret that I didn't include Catherine Rhodes and Alan C. in my imitations on March 24th. I did have, if only Nathan would have ran for mayor, and I yield back my time in the waiting. Also, that means what I've got coming up are not imitations, but impressions instead. Like I've heard Brando say, nobody even knows who you guys are anyways. So here we go, feel free to guess. All right, this is easy. See how easy that was? Next, Jim. Uh-oh, I said it. Oh. Okay, we need to be prepared for self-driving cars to be doing ballet in the future. The same future where nobody's gonna believe us about our next actual emergency. Next, this data-driven deception is just fantastic. Even though she'd be a human sacrifice, I think my daughter would be happy to wear a mask for 3 years because of it. Oh, look, there's no real tears. Next, excuse me, I walked through the jungle, and this is all misinformation. I ran for supervisor because I'm going to change everything. It wouldn't be a Latina party if we don't dance. And it's not treason if I don't get orders from the UN Habitat. All right, that's the most I can give because they're just not as fun, interesting, or distinct, truth be told. Actually, I had to think about that. It's pretty hard. Now, let's see. Jim, I saw you on the news again. I don't know why. This time talking about the homeless situation where you basically 100% agreed with Democrats about behavioral health. It's called Care Court. Man, homeless people are being used as these guinea pigs, as usual, for a program to conservatorship everything away from an individual. That's exactly why the budget contains money for drug courts, homeless courts, reentry courts, and veteran courts. More courts to institutionally incarcerate people.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the individuals that requested to speak by phone. We'll start with our first caller.
Good afternoon. My name is Peggy Walker. I'm a longtime county resident, and I love my county. As you consider expanding marijuana commercialization, I encourage you to consider what a board member of the State Cannabis Industry Association wrote in a UT article published this Sunday. This industry insider described the marijuana market as brutal and toxic, with slim prospects for success. This industry spokesperson described failing markets and noted that statewide legal sales have been on a 2-year slide, that 2 out of 3 sales were made in the illegal markets, and businesses statewide are pulling up stakes and abandoning investments. And further, California distributors are sitting on about $600 million worth of invoices that failing permitted pot retailers cannot pay. The writer also warns of a cannabis extinction event, closure of hundreds of dispensaries that will further destabilize the industry, adding, and I quote, "Behind the industry's potential demise are thousands of stories of financial ruin. With all the talk about equity and expansion, have you considered the downside of the current market data and poor feedback coming from industry insiders? With continuing market failures and dubious prospects, encouraging investment and devoting county resources to new pot businesses is unjustifiable. Seems like bad business and poor policy." Thank you for listening.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the next caller.
Good afternoon, Chair Vargas and Board of Supervisors. My name is Becky Rapp. I'm a parent and a public health educator. Concerned regarding the marijuana industry's complete disregard for the health and safety of young children and youth. I recognize and greatly appreciate this board and your support of AB 1207 when you voted unanimously to send a letter to Sacramento supporting the Cannabis Candy Child Safety Act. Our very own Dr. Natalie Lobb, a pediatrician at Rady Children's Hospital and clinical professor at UCSD, spoke of her personal experience with treating patients who have suffered the harsh consequences of marijuana poisoning. Her observations were published in the San Jose Mercury News, which is the second most read paper in California and the fifth most read in the country. Dr. Lobb states, I quote, "The number of children hospitalized for marijuana toxicity in San Diego has quadrupled since 2016. Each time this happens, I ask the same question. Why does a drug that could kill a child have to look like candy?" She continues on, the answer is, it doesn't. Unfortunately, a combination of systemic regulatory failures and rampant marijuana commercialization has resulted in the proliferation of legal marijuana products masquerading as attractive children's food. It's clear that the marijuana industry is targeting our kids. If you expose a young consumer and normalize a drug by weaving it into the fabric of a child's physical and social environment, you'll probably have a consumer for life, end quote. I would like to ask that you take your support a step further, requesting that all marijuana operators begin now removing products that appeal to children. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the next caller.
Good morning. My name is Gloria Rickard, and I wanted to speak about the proposed epicenter renovation and use by the county. I moved to California, to San Diego in 2010. At that time, I deliberately searched for a home in Mira Mesa because of its diversity and the quality of life. My daughter at the time was in middle school with very little in the community locally for her to become involved with. We became involved with San Diego Civic Dance Arts based in Balboa Park. I spent years driving her all over the city for programming, and this incredible programming has shaped who she has become as an adult. She just recently graduated law school. So I see the very positive effects of the arts on our youth and on our population as a whole. My daughter was very lucky that I was able to prioritize to be able to do this for her. Many youth however, have no such option, and their parents are not able to drive them all over town for programming. So I support the county and the city supporting local programming, particularly in the arts. However, today my reason for calling is that I am supporting a pause in the county renovating and using the existing epicenter structure for programming. I would like the county to encourage and to propose a delay to allow the community to weigh in on exactly how this structure, either in its present form or being changed dramatically, could best serve our neighborhood. I want this structure to be able to serve Mira Mesa, as it's in the center of Mira Mesa and really represents our community, and that will ultimately benefit the entire city of San Diego.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the next caller. The next caller is Fayette Aprielli. We'll come back to this.
Can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. Hold on.
Hi, my name is
If you could please mute your live stream.
No, that's her, and we're in the car.
Okay, go ahead. Thank you.
Does she need to repeat herself?
Go ahead with your comments, please.
Mayor Mesa. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the next caller.
Man, since we're throwing around emergencies today, I was wondering, Nora, like when you're talking to your handlers at the UN, are they telling you what they're doing with the next pandemic? I mean, plandemic that's coming in 2024. And I'm just wondering if you're aware of the John Hopkins, exercise that they did, very similar to Event 201, right before COVID hit, right? And it's like, I mean, good thing they did that because then we knew exactly what to do, which totally worked, right? So I'm just wondering if they're keeping you in the loop with that. While they're having you push, their whole agenda to put us in 15-minute cities, or are they kind of keeping you in the dark, about all that stuff? But it's interesting, I mean, because, in May of 2024, I'm sure there's going to be another pandemic because we're all going to be in line with the world, health order with the UN. And so are you guys prepared to have absolutely no more control, or do you think that your handlers are going to give you a gold star to make you exempt from the 15-minute cities you're putting everybody in? I don't know. I'm just wondering. You probably don't even know about that thing at Johns Hopkins, right? Did you even know about Event 201? I mean, have you ever really looked into your handlers and what they're really about and the things that they say? I think you have, because you do puppet them very well. All of you guys are very good puppets. And your handlers are very, very happy at the destruction that you guys lay upon the people. So looking forward to how you handle the next pandemic, right, Jim? Is it really going to be an emergency? Who knows, right? I guess we'll have to see what happens. But good thing they did another event just to make sure we're prepared and know exactly what to do when that time comes. It's going to be life-changing for even you guys. So you're just very good. I'd like to give you all some aged sewer water.
For the record, that speaker was Audra. We'll now hear from the next caller.
Hi, good morning. My name is Alana. I've danced in the local Mary Mesa dance team and Cerrado Valley College Dance Company, but now we have moved all the way in Poway. I would like to have a place nearby to perform so it could be closer to everyone. Therefore, more of my friends and family could attend. I would love for the Mary Mesa Music Performing Arts and Culture Center to be a place for people and kids to create something that they love.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the next caller.
Hello, everyone. This is Viviana Rico, and I'm a resident of Scripps Ranch, and I'm part of the Friends of Mira Mesa Arts and Cultural Center to revive the epicenter. And think of this. You had a long day, you finish work, you go to your car, you turn on the radio, and that's your favorite song. You turn on the volume, and automatically you feel really, really good. You're listening to your favorite singer. Or you go to the radio show, you hear and look at your favorite performer, you go to the theater, and automatically, once you leave those venues, you feel revived, you feel uplifted. Just think of this. All those performers, all those singers had a mentor at one point, had a venue where they started performing. So I think reviving the epicenter is going to continue, with that culture to lift us up. And it's a dynamic space for kids, for teens, for adults like you and me, and for seniors. And I'm just looking forward for a favorable resolution that we all can enjoy. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. And Chairwoman Vargas, that concludes the request for non-agenda public communication this morning. We do have requests to speak on the closed session matter, so this time I'll call forward the speakers that requested to speak in closed session. We have 3 requests to speak, 1 in person and 2 by phone. For the individuals that requested to speak by phone on the closed session matters, please dial into the conference line now using the instructions that were provided to you. We'll begin with the in-person speaker. I'd like to invite forward Truth. You'll have 2 minutes to address the board.
All right, Truth has made her way down to the microphone. Cases A and B are Nicholas Yefantaides versus the County of San Diego. Former County Chief Medical Officer Nicholas is suing for wrongful termination and discrimination. It's alleged that he had to take a psychological assessment called a fitness for duty exam before he could return to work, and that he was willing to take the exam but was fired before he could complete it. This lawsuit seeks an injunction prohibiting the county from continuing to engage in unlawful practices. I say it all just goes to show that doing evil has no real rewards for anyone involved. Case C is Macchione Miles versus the County of San Diego. Last year, Macchione was awarded $5 million by a federal jury. A judge sanctioned the Sheriff's Department attorneys because they willfully concealed evidence and shared trial transcripts in violation of the court's orders. Case G is Marcus Boyd versus the county. Marcus alleges that Sheriff Sergeant William Munch assaulted him for filming a traffic stop, that he hit the phone out of his hand and then falsely arrested him. Marcus was first charged with obstructing justice, but then it was changed to a felony charge of resisting an executive officer. The court later said there was no record found of the charge. Marcus did post the altercation to his YouTube channel, Cop Watch Imperial Beach. Case I is Candy Lynn Bonner versus the County of San Diego. Candy was a branch manager at a county library for 24 years. She's suing for wrongful termination. Case J is David Blackburn versus the county. David is suing the county over eminent domain that resulted in inverse condemnation. That's when a government takes property for public use that greatly damages a plaintiff's property. And case M is either Andrew the professional or Ryan 11 getting a performance evaluation. I'm going to assume Andrew and say you deserve a B rating. Your work is an A for sure, with a good attitude fueled by ramen. But you're still working your way up from previously taking orders from Nathan to cut people's calls. I do still like you, though. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we'll hear from the individuals I requested to speak by phone.
So interesting how you guys just, man, there's all this litigation, and it's like, it shows that you guys are just really, really doing well at your job. And, just why would any sheriff assault, have anything happen with that? Because you guys condone that kind of stuff, actually punish the people. But, just in future litigation and your anticipated litigation with all the ways that you're engaging in these meetings and coming against the people after we've already had people assaulted in those chambers. We're continuing down the same path, usurping everybody's ability to come and, redress their grievances with their own servants. But also, the fact that you guys don't acknowledge, like, the geoengineering going on above us and, things like the sewer water that you're giving people are, going against your own pursuit to, just have everything and everybody be safe and healthy and all this stuff. Although we beat people and, just spray them with toxins and put all this stuff in their water if we don't give them sewer water in addition to that. And so it would just be interesting to have you guys, start mitigating those things so that future litigation doesn't come forward for all of your negligence. And especially with the homelessness and all the things that you guys are doing there. What else? I'm just really wasting your time because I know you guys hate to hear us talk. And so as long as we just come and piss the shit out of you, because this is what we're supposed to be doing, you need to sit there and listen, because we got to sit there and listen to you guys jibber jabber and tell your, virtue signaling, gaslighting stories. So, we pay you to be there so you can sit and listen to the people when they have.
Chairwoman Vargas, that concludes the request for public comment on the closed session matters.
Thank you so much. With that, this concludes our our session, and we're going to proceed to closed session, and this session is adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for your hard work.
The board will now recess into closed session to consider those matters listed under item 19 on today's regular agenda. If there are any reportable actions, they will be reported out during the planning and land use session of this meeting tomorrow, Wednesday, June 28, 2023.